All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is hour one, Schaefer and Sliwa. There is a lot to get into. Darnay Tripp, friend of the show, friend of the station, will join us at 5 p.m. And then coming up at 3:30 today, Aaron Goldsmith. He's been a longtime broadcaster here for the Seattle Mariners. Before we get started, and there's a lot to get into.
Lots to get into today.
Nick Pivetta is going to land on the IL. Matt Waldron is in the clubhouse. Will he start for Pavetta? Lucas Giolito, by the way, is once again being linked to the Padres. Is that tied to Pavetta? A running bit in the first 10 plus days of the show is whenever this is my fault. I start the stream and we're always looking in opposite directions because, I'm on one side of the screen and Alan's on the other.
So we're looking
like we're not looking at each other, even though in real life we're looking at each other.
But we have come up with a solution.
I could just flip the screens.
Or
I could still flip the screen so we could still look away from each other.
We just look away from each other, and every time we look away from each other, YouTube's like they're talking. They're talking perfectly to each other.
Hold on. I'll flip it back. You
flip it
look
back.
away from it. Perfect. Now we're talking to each other.
I'm staring at the wall right now.
And
what are you looking
at a door.
And it looks like this is perfect.
Yeah, it looks like we're talking
They have no idea what's going on. They can't complain anymore on YouTube.
Or you know what we could do? We could just look at each other.
Off and
we could just look at each other.
That's a solution too.
I want to start here, Alan, because there's a lot going on as we come on the air here this afternoon. One of which, and again, Darnay Tripp, NBC7, longtime visitor on the station. It'll be his first time on Schaefer and Sliwa today. He just tweeted out from down at Petco Park that Matt Waldron is in the clubhouse and believes he is starting on Friday. Now, Craig Stammen has not spoken with the media as of yet today, but you put 2 and 2 together. You know what 2 plus 2 is? 4.
7.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But you put 2 and 2 together. Well, hold on. That's Pavetta's spot. Remember, Craig Stammen said the other day, there's a world where he makes his next start, but now you're putting the pieces together, and maybe we're going to receive word later today that Nick Pivetta is going on the IL.
Yeah, a couple things have kind of gone on. Even before any of this, we were reading some articles a little bit earlier today, and are the Padres going to potentially look? There was a story out there about Lucas Giolito, and the first thing that I thought of when you and I were having our prep call was like, okay, well that's not instantly for me. My mind went to, then that means Pavetta's injured, or how bad is the injury? Now we're obviously getting, and we knew this, we get closer to game time today, we'll have a better idea. Off day yesterday, so a lot of the conversation was about Pivetta. Phenomenal run for the Padres, and all that really kind of stands out up to this point is like, hey, tell me Nick Pivetta is going to be okay. We don't have the answer, but it sounded like you're right. And listen, we are in April, so there is a little bit here that, why the hell would you kind of rush something, which they wouldn't. I thought it was odd on Sunday after the sweep against the Rockies to even mention, Stammen even mentioned he may not even miss a start. Kind of, guys, I got nothing for you. We'll keep you posted on what happens.
Should have said truthfully.
Yeah, because if he's 9 up, 9 down, and you're pulling him out of a game against the Rockies in the fourth,
there's a reason.
There's a reason for it, and of course, being cautious is what they have to do.
We made the argument, you and I, even probably within the last 2 weeks, but certainly on the station in the months of the offseason, that even with the rotation as constructed, they could use an additional veteran starter towards the front of a rotation. Maybe not an ace, but not a 5, somewhere that would sit in that 2, 3, 4 category, for example. And that was when we thought they had Nick Pivetta healthy. We'll learn more. When we thought Joe Musgrove would pay dividends, he still may, but he hasn't as of yet, and so on and so forth. If they do lose Pivetta for any significant period of time, I would deem that more than a month, right? If they were to lose this player for more than a month, he misses 5, 6 plus starts. I mean, it makes more sense to add a player of the caliber of Lucas Giolito. Now, there's a caveat there. Team's being sold. Lucas Giolito is quote unquote holding out or unsigned for a reason. It's not because of fit, it's because of money. And by the way, now he has a little bit of the leverage. If, for example, if today the Padres announced, hey, Nick Pivetta is going to be out for 60 days. Hopefully that's not the case. I'd be shocked if they announced that. But if Pivetta is going to be out, all of a sudden Giolito has leverage. There's some that do believe the reason Giolito hasn't signed is he's waiting for injuries to occur around the sport to get the premium dollar figure.
Well, the article came out earlier today. It was Dennis Lin and Ken Rosenthal. Yep. See how it's so hard for me to say Ken. Like I still have anger here. But that article, just based off of reading that article, all you need is two people to drive up the price. Two teams.
True.
And there are two teams that are interested. It's the Cubs and it's the Padres. So whether this works into the Padres' advantage or it doesn't, I think we'll have to wait and see. But I think the main thing here is, how do you get through, your pitch, the rotation? How do you do that without Nick Pivetta? And based upon, and we'll have to wait and see, obviously, see how much time, and if when it's official, and if he does miss time, and how many starts miss, all that stuff, you got to keep your head above water, and that's going to be really tough to do. Like you said, that you already got, obviously we know what happened with Darvish, and however you want to properly define Darvish no longer. Obviously with the Padres, Joe Musgrove, kind of go down the list of some of the different pitchers that you were hoping would have some impact this year. You add Nick Pivetta to that list, it's getting pretty thin. Yeah,
at some point, like I've made these types of analogies with baseball. Like at some point, you knock a domino over and it's impacting a lot of dominoes. Now, you never know when that point is. I agree with your earlier point that it is April as opposed to hands tied September, October. The current example playing out in the NBA. If the Lakers had an injury to Luka or Austin Reeves 2 weeks into the season, maybe
or before the trade deadline,
maybe it
something like that. Yeah,
they can make. That depends on the length of the injury. Not that they'd be like quitting on Luka or Austin Reeves, but they can address some of that. You get to this time of year. I've made this point before with the Dodgers, and yes, they have a lot of the advantages, but oftentimes you get after a trade deadline, and it's like burn the ship, so to speak. If they're dealing with injuries, they can't necessarily overcome them. There's no mechanisms that they can pull. They can go to their system. But because it's April and because the Padres have, I think very few would argue with this, they have among the most creative general managers in the history of the sport. They'll find a way to make this right, so to speak. Doesn't mean you're getting Nick Pivetta every fifth day, but it also doesn't mean scrap heaps, can't win, woe is me, it can't be dealt with. So I'm curious to see like the balancing act. Is Matt Waldron the answer? Does he throw well? Do they sign a Lucas Giolito? Is there something else in their system that can pay dividends? Griffin Canning is coming off injury that could be here. So I think they have some like levers to pull, Alan, before it's like, well, their rotation is shot and they got no shot because of it.
Yeah, one of the things that we take, just staying on the Giolito portion of this, and if part of the article with Dennis Lin, with Ken Rosenthal, was the situation with the Padres could be complicated by the final stages, I'm reading the exact quote here, of the franchise's ongoing sale process, which could limit the baseball operations department's financial flexibility. That also kind of gets you back into this. And I know everybody has pointed out, I've heard AC talk about this, I've heard a few people talk about this, that April could potentially be the month that sale is official. And if you're a Padre fan out there where it's like, well, what does it matter? Whether it's April, whether it's September, whether it's the offseason, this is a perfect example of why you want to get that part straightened out.
Right.
Get some clarity for the team. I'm sure any ownership that wants to come in wants to do good by the city, at least in the beginning, what they do from there. But there's a little bit of a, hey, we're going to try to, compete for a World Series. That whole spiel is going to be there. But I don't see the Padres, at least it doesn't feel like it. We'll see what happens. Does this add a new wrinkle to try to bring in somebody that can help your rotation, not just for when Pavetta is back, but really genuinely help your rotation the whole year?
I look at it two ways, because there's a world, as Craig Stammen talked about with Pavetta, but there's another world where this sale goes through and maybe you have some additional resources to go sign a player of the caliber of Lucas Giolito. There's another world where the sale doesn't play out over the next week or two or three, and it plays out over the next month or two or three, and Lucas Giolito is going by the wayside.
By the way, he's going to a team that's you already faced the wild card last year
in Chicago.
That could be the difference in a short series.
And what you and I have talked about a lot in the 3-week history of this show, specifically with the Padres, is I think everyone that's listening to us that's a Padres fan or a San Diegan, you want to see the Padres be good and make the playoffs, but at the end of the day, you want to see them do something they've never done. To do things you've never done, it takes the above and beyond. I'm not saying Lucas Giolito is the reason why you're winning or losing a World Series. I'm just saying you got to consider everything. You got to be that committed to winning, and they are. They're having a good start to their year. They're committed to winning, but again, they haven't. It's not like they've been competing for World Series year in and year out. What's it going to take to get there? There's a conversation that's played out for AJ Preller's entire tenure and before it. What's it going to take? And it starts with ownership, not just Preller. It starts with ownership to at least give you the mechanisms to point you that direction.
If Pavetta doesn't have his injury on Sunday, we're not having this kind of like we sound a little panicky.
Right.
And maybe that's because I think there's a reason for it. That's your ace. This is who you started the season out. You threw Nick Pivetta out there. So I think there's a piece where if Pavetta doesn't get injured, we're just trying to have this conversation of probably more about the Musgrove, probably more about how they can decide between Marquez and Buehler. Can you get one good start between those two guys every time they get there, every turn?
Yeah.
And by the way, they've kind of done that over their last couple of turns. But everything changed if you lose your ace, which, again, we don't know. We have no idea how long Pavetta is going to be out for, anything along those lines. But I think it changes it from that perspective, because then if Pavetta is healthy, you can focus more at the trade deadline. You have more time to figure some stuff out. By that time, you just imagine new ownership's in there and there won't be these complications that they might have now.
Yeah, 100%. So again, we're keeping our eye on really Nick Pivetta and what's going to play out here, because Craig Stammen's going to speak with the media at some point in the 3 or 4 o'clock hour. And then, again, they don't really, the interesting thing with injuries sometimes, especially with pitchers, is it's not like if anyone's expecting like, hey, here's the deal. He tore his UCL and he's going to see this doctor and the procedure is going to be done on this date. No, they're going to be very ambiguous. As in, we might not learn anything. They may still say Waldron's here because there is a world in which he's pitching later in the week, but we do have a taxi squad. We're still awaiting the results of the testing that's played out between Sunday and now. So I'm not expecting some like big answer on Nick Pivetta and then them being like, and now we're going to consider Lucas Giolito. I mean, they'd never say that.
The only thing that makes me think we'll probably get some info is just the mere fact that Waldron believes he's starting on Friday. Not only there, but he believes he's starting on Friday.
That's a good point.
And that's something that he has addressed. I saw Andy's tweet put that out there. So that's the only piece where I'm like, they probably got some info.
And hopefully they'll share some information. I guess the guess on ambiguity is to the length of time that Pavetta would be out. Now, you'll get a pretty good indicator if he goes on the IL, which he would. I mean, you wouldn't make a move and have Matt Waldron up and keep Pavetta on the active roster because the IL stints are only 10 days. You would just put him on the IL. So I guess it's a long way of me saying this. I, along with a lot of Padres fans, I think, wanted an answer on what happened with Nick Pivetta. I don't know if I'll get that. I may find out, hey, he's dealing with elbow stiffness. We're going to, out of an abundance of caution, we're going with Matt Waldron on Friday. That still leaves open the open-ended question of what's the prognosis for Nick Pivetta moving forward? What does it mean for the Padres? What does it mean for the pursuit potentially of Lucas Giolito?
You know, it's funny. We talked when I just started the show, the season starting, and you were one of the ones that's like, hey, it's refreshing to hear how honest Craig Stammen is on a lot of things.
Right.
I think we'll kind of get a little bit of an idea here if this is one of those, I'm going to give you more information than most managers do. I'm a little bit more new school. I don't have anything to hide. Or if he's going to kind of, all right, I'll take the approach of we'll have to wait and see.
When Craig Stammen speaks, you will hear it here on Schaefer and Sliwa. Aaron Goldsmith is the broadcaster or one of the broadcasters for the Seattle Mariners on television. He'll join us coming up at 3:30 as we get into this series that kicks off later tonight at Petco Park. We'll take a look at the Padres lineup. Where is Fernando Tatis Jr. tonight? What type of lineup is Michael King facing tonight for the Mariners? All that and more ahead on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. STFC back on the road Saturday night. They'll take on Real Salt Lake. Coverage with Adrian Garcia Marquez, Darren Smith begins at 6 p.m. on your home for STFC. San Diego Sports 760. Aaron Goldsmith, TV broadcaster for the Mariners, will join us coming up in 10 minutes. The Mariners tweeted out Vetter Cup. The Padres did not. So the Mariners lineup is the Vetter Cup gets underway tonight or something along that. And unless I'm wrong there, okay. I don't think the Padres in their lineup mentioned Vetter Cup. It doesn't have the greatest brand affinity right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't think it's it. No, they didn't. They have not mentioned Vetter Cup all day long.
Could that be a sign of disrespect?
Ooh,
because of this unbelievable rivalry? We don't even acknowledge
that it exists.
Yeah.
You are little brother and we're big brother, Mariners.
Because Seattle definitely were in their head.
Right. You think this impacts the series? The Mariners tweeting about Vetter Cup gets underway tonight and the Padres not?
I'm just saying, you watch out. A couple pitches coming up and in. Ain't no one in San Diego taking that today.
I know this is probably a 1-year-old story. It's not necessarily for today, but maybe it is. Are you a proponent of the Vetter Cup? I mean, what kind of question even is that? I'm not asking you hey, what's your political stance on something? Do you think that this should be something? And do you think it should be named after Eddie Vedder, who's a diehard Cubs fan and was at Game 3 of the wild card when the Cubs beat the Padres?
I think it's a stretch.
Yeah, I completely agree.
A little bit of a stretch here.
Completely agree.
I'm all for good, let's get something in there. But the Padres they don't care.
Does everything need a series? Do the Lakers, when they play the Clippers, does it have to be the Lake Clip series?
A lot of those I think are over.
Yeah, aren't they?
Even if I'll give you an example. I mean, listen, some rivalries are real.
Oh, they're real.
They're Michigan, Ohio State is Michigan, Ohio State.
But they don't need to call it the Cat Mouse Trophy.
No, it doesn't have to have a name to it, but there are some just rivalries where you don't even have to have a discussion about it. You don't have to have a conversation about it.
Carolina.
Then there are those that are forced. Correct. I think there's some that are forced.
Completely agree. Fernando Tatis Jr., 5 hits, reaches base safely 6 times in 2 games while playing second base. So surely he'll never return to the outfield, right? He has returned to the outfield here tonight. Jake Cronenworth and Xander Bogaerts are back. This isn't surprising, right? What I am curious about is what type of performance does he have at the plate? Again, it's only 1 game, but what does he look like tonight coming off a 5-hit weekend?
So what do we do? Let's say he goes
0 for 4.
Yep. And a couple of strikeouts.
I'll make a big deal of it for no reason.
All right. What if the entire week he struggles, or this series against the Mariners, he struggles?
Yeah.
Every time you have a Cronenworth's taking a day off or Xander's taking a day off, you put Cronenworth, were they just going to bring Tatis in just because they feel like they have to accommodate a little bit?
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will.
I really don't. I mean, I think
and I don't think he got the hits because he was at second. But the problem is he hasn't done much so far this year. And the moment you put him at second, it's I'm sure Stammen is sitting there saying to himself, are you really grabbing 5 hits over these 2 games?
Well, here's my theory on it, and I'm completely with you. It's not because he played second, he had 5 hits. But what about the idea? It's you spend all your time when you're in right field worrying about the next time you're at the plate, but you play all your time at second base worrying about playing second base.
That, it's almost that I kind of, that I understand.
I'll give you a recent example for me. I go to a chiropractor and I hate the idea. I hate some of the, this is just how chiropractic work is. They're the neck snapping type stuff. And I don't like that. So oftentimes, and it's not that I don't have that actually done, but I have some other things done, for example, that I'm going through. And I don't like it. And I tense up, but then he'll tell me hey, wiggle your left big toe. And I'm thinking, what's my left? And then he'll do it as I'm thinking about that. And it takes my mind off it. Sometimes it's as simple as something like that.
No, I think there's truth to it. I think for Tatis, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I think it's the most important thing. The Padres need Tatis to be Tatis while he's in right.
Right. That's exactly right.
That's what they need.
That's exactly right.
So if they have to shift around, it'd be different if, knock on wood, hopefully there's no injuries or anything like that. But if the Padres were in a situation where it's no, we need Tatis to come into the infield, and it's better for the team, And this has nothing to do with what Tatis wants or needs. They just need that from him. It's a different conversation. Right now, they do need Cronenworth at second. They do need Xander at short, and they need him in right.
Correct. By the way, breaking Padres news is Nick Pivetta has been placed on the IL, 15-day IL with right elbow inflammation. The move is a reliever, Alec Jacob, because Matt Waldron doesn't have to be active to start this weekend today because he has no purpose for the team today. He will Friday. So in the meantime, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you've added to your bullpen with Alec Jacob, who's been up before. And presumably, Craig Stammer will speak on this, Matt Waldron would start on Friday for the Padres. But it always felt, and there's no knock on anyone, it always felt too good to be true that somebody would leave with an elbow injury in the major leagues, and it's all precautionary and you don't miss time. Now we know he'll miss at least multiple starts because of 15 days. Now we'll hope that it's nothing beyond, that 2 to 3 week period of time.
Yeah, listen, again, I go back to this. If you're watching the game on Sunday and Pavetta is cruising,
yep,
and it's 9 up, 9 down, and you're trying to sweep the Colorado Rockies, and you're just starting the fourth inning, it's impossible not to think that Nick Pavetta's got a real issue, and then he's got to walk off the mound, and then that conversation starts. And I thought, I told you this, and this was part of the conversation that we were having. To see that article earlier today with Giolito, the first thing that went into my mind, the first thing, and this is, look, this could be about, that's kind of where my natural tendency goes to. So it could be nothing, but there's a little bit of like, hey, you want fear or you want faith?
Yeah.
And I lean towards fear. Okay, wait, Giolito, why is this article coming up now? What does that mean for Nick Pivetta? The Cubs are also interested, so there's a little bit of, there's some competition there, but everything just went directly to, well, this can't be good news for Pivetta.
2+2. Maybe it's as simple as that. Interest in Giolito because of what's playing out with Nick Pivetta. We'll spend a lot of time on that here today. We're going to switch gears and talk about the Mariners.
That's a bummer. Just as long as it's not long term, but that's a bummer.
Nick Pivetta has meant so much to the Padres the last 2 seasons. We'll catch up with Aaron Goldsmith, voice of the Mariners. They were in the ALCS last year. They've gotten off to a slower start, including Cal Raleigh. Aaron Goldsmith on the other side, the television voice of the Mariners here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Paint Care. The Padres and Mariners are getting set to start their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Brian Wu going for the Mariners and Michael King on the hill for the Friars. First pitch is set for 6:40. Tonight is the beginning of the NBA play-in games. At 4:30, we have the Heat taking on the Hornets, and at 7, it's Portland Phoenix. Both games are streaming on Amazon Prime. Households and businesses can recycle leftover paint at more than 800 drop-off sites in California. Quantities of 100-plus gallons of paint may qualify for a large volume pickup. Learn more at paintcare.org.
All right, let's catch up with Aaron Goldsmith in town, broadcaster for the Mariners. We get Padres and Mariners tonight. Game 1 of a 3-game series coming up at 6:40. We just learned from the Padres, and he wasn't going to pitch in this series regardless, but Nick Pivetta has been placed on the 15-day IL, again, coming off that injury on Sunday, unfortunately. But Aaron, appreciate you joining us here today on San Diego Sports 760. Tell us a bit about the start, because I know it was sluggish coming off all the successes last year in the postseason, but you look up a few days ago, they're 4-9. What played out against Houston to get the Mariners back on the right track?
Well, hey guys, good to be in San Diego. Yeah, I think there's some similarities in terms of how both these teams have started and where they are now. I think the best way I can put it is the Astros are to the Mariners as the Rockies were to the Padres. And so the Astros are in really tough shape right now on the injury front, especially in their pitching. They have 3 starters on the injured list. They have an overworked bullpen, and the Mariners really took advantage of that. And even before they had lost so many pitchers, they were just bad. They just were not pitching well at all. They were, in many ways, the worst staff in baseball. And the Mariners got right against them at home and swept them in 4 games. The offense was very anemic, to say the least, on the road trip prior to that 4-game homestand against Houston. The Mariners were held to 3 runs in 3 games in total against the Rangers in the previous series in Arlington. So for the Mariners to come back home and not only win games, but win games in the fashion they did, averaging just over 7 runs a game in that 4-game series, the Mariners have some momentum offensively, really, for the first time early on this year.
How are, down in San Diego, of course, there's always the conversation, how are the Stars doing? Is Tatis delivering? Is Manny Machado delivering? I know for the Mariners, we were talking a little bit about it, Cal Raleigh. We're talking about Rodriguez a little bit as well. How has the start been for them or some of the bigger names in Seattle? And just how do you, when you watch and it's a 162-game set, we're always trying to pace ourselves here of not that big of a deal, just your thoughts on the big guns getting off to a slow start or a fast start and how Seattle has done from that perspective?
Well, prior to the 4 games against Houston that the Mariners are coming off of, all of the major bats in the lineup, with the exception of maybe Randy Rosarena, had gotten off to a very sluggish start. And for Julio, that's a very normal thing. He's always a remarkably slow starter, and then once July hits, he turns it on and he becomes an MVP candidate for the last few months of the year. And you look at his numbers when it's all said and done, and last year was another 30-30 season, more MVP votes again for Julio. So it always comes out of the wash looking great. But I think there's a tendency, right, for a lot of people when the season begins in the first week, first 2 weeks, and even the first month, where you have nothing else to compare it to. You don't have a baseline of something great happening to counterweight a struggle. And so all of that stuff looms larger. It seems bigger than it actually is. And as the Padres learned, and as the Mariners have learned, you get one really good 4-game series or one really good 7-game stretch this early in the season, and all of a sudden your numbers look drastically different, right? Whether you're talking from a team perspective or individually. So the Mariners went through the exact same thing last year. They started 3-7. They were swept on the road early on in a series in San Francisco, and the sky was falling, and then they won 8 straight series. So the Mariners are not alone in that. This game has been around for over 100 years, and a million teams have gone through something just like that. And I think this will be a really good test for both of these teams. Both these teams who are hoping to play deep in October are now facing off against some really good caliber competition on both sides. It's not a bad Astros pitching staff anymore. It's not a bad Rockies team anymore. So this will be a good test for both teams feeling pretty good coming into this series.
Yeah, that I completely agree. Aaron Goldsmith, who calls games for the Mariners, with us right now on San Diego Sports 760 and Schaefer and Sliwa. But you went somewhere there in terms of both these teams want to play deep into October. The last time the Padres made a championship series run was 2022. The expectations the next year were like, this team's going to play for a World Series or win one. They've added Juan Soto right in the second half of 2022. And then they fell flat on their face and didn't even make the postseason. Is it sometimes, and it's hard to know, I mean, we're only 15 or 16 games into the year, but sometimes fans just expect because the Mariners did what they did last year, they'll just immediately be back. But that's challenging, right? And again, we've got the expanded playoff. There's so much time. They could absolutely be in the postseason or make a run, but it's not as simple as just saying, well, they were in the championship series, so inevitably, they'll go further, for example, next year.
Well, you're right. Every season is its own, right? And I remember that Padres team you were talking about, and that's one of the only teams that I've seen where I've actually thought to myself, this team looks like they're checked out. Like they look really bad when the Mariners faced them in that particular season, especially around the midway or late point in that year, that if I can remember correctly. But for the Mariners, they have not shied away from expectations. They were 8 outs away last year from their first ever World Series. They're the only team to not make a World Series. Right. And the words World Series were said often on the record in spring training by many people in uniform with the Mariners. And this is a roster that's been put together that has as much talent as this organization has had on a 26-man roster in, I don't know, maybe forever. This is now the 50th year of Mariners baseball. And these are players who are, many of whom have been homegrown, and those who haven't, a lot of them have been like an Andres Munoz or Matt Brash, former Padres farmhands, and Munoz, of course, who debuted with you guys, who feel like they've really grown up and become big leaguers as a Mariner. And they've been through the lean times. And so for them to go through that last year was obviously, although they fell short, it was a feeling of great accomplishment because it was the best season that the club has ever had. But now they're not sneaking up on anybody, right? Just like the Padres weren't going to in the season that you were referencing. And so there is a bit of a bullseye on the Mariners for the first time in about 25 years or so, dating back to the last time they won their last division prior to last season. So there's a lot of new things going on for the Mariners, and although they are as talented as maybe they've ever been, with that comes more hurdles and more obstacles, one of which being there's some very lofty expectations on this team.
Aaron Goldsmith, who is the voice of the Mariners, joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa show. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. It's good perspective. It's one thing when you can catch people by surprise, but I'm with John. Now I'm getting ready for this series. I'm like, that's all I can think of is the Mariners in the postseason, and obviously the great series against Toronto. Good test for both teams, like you guys mentioned. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what's your overall thoughts right now on the state of baseball. I think as we all sit here and the Seattle market, I think is a phenomenal market. I want to say payroll-wise, the Mariners around 16th in Major League Baseball. So just kind of thinking big picture. Obviously, we know that after this season, there could be a lockout. There could be maybe the structure of baseball changes. How do you feel about the structure of the way baseball is today, and what are some of the changes that you think could improve the sport?
Well, I think the fear that everyone has, right, whether you are a president of baseball operations, whether you're AJ Preller or Jerry DiPoto, or if you're a fan listening right now, is you fear that this great momentum that our game has seen, especially in recent years, there might be the brakes put on it in a screeching halt next year because of the CBA expiring. And who knows what that will look like. And maybe everything will be just fine and everything will be played as scheduled. Certainly that's what everybody's hoping for. But I think this series, when the Mariners and the Padres square off against each other, I think it's a great example of what is in so many ways great about the state of Major League Baseball right now. You have two teams that are not major markets by any means. Seattle more than San Diego, which Seattle can't always say that. And yet you have two rosters that are star-studded, right? And both teams have been very aggressive in terms of acquiring that kind of talent. It's no surprise that both teams have the names like Tatis and Machado and names like Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez huge arms in the bullpens, and Munoz and Miller making incredible headlines throughout all of Major League Baseball for what he has done. So you have these two West Coast teams that are not major markets. The Mariners are the outpost of the American League. And yet when they get together, there is enormous star power. And if you are a young baseball fan or if you're an old timer, I think this is a series whenever these teams get together where you have to gravitate towards it, because you don't know what Tatis is capable of doing on any given night, or Julio Rodriguez. Will Cal Raleigh homer from both sides of the plate? Will Mason Miller strike out the side at 103 miles an hour with every punch out? Will he actually throw a pitch that's not a strike? Right? I mean, like, you have all this good happening in our game right now. And this series, these next 3 games, really highlights it about as well as any other series you can find in baseball.
Aaron, final one for me is just on the pitching matchup tonight. Obviously, Brian Wu has been sensational. You've seen it firsthand. Michael King's been good, and when he's been healthy as a Padre, has been very good. I want to say there's 7 batters that will bat from the left side tonight against Michael King. But how do you look at tonight? You got a couple of really good quality starting pitchers facing off in game 1.
Yeah, it's a dynamite pitching matchup, and King has pitched so well against the Mariners over the course of his career, as limited as that might be facing the M's, without a whole lot of run support to show for it. You know, the interesting thing for me, thinking about Wu, whenever Wu pitches, the first question I always have is, okay, well, how does this fill in the blank team hit the fastball? Because you're going to see upwards of 70-75% heaters potentially from Brian Wu. Now that might be closer to 60, but if he throws 70 plus, it's not a surprise to anybody. And, you know, the Padres are interesting. If you go back since the start of last year, they've hit the fastball okay for average. Like, they are average in terms of their batting average against fastballs. And Wu has 2 of them, a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer. But they haven't done damage on fastballs. They don't slug, they don't barrel, they don't hit fastballs hard, generally speaking. And I think when you look at Wu's fairly minimal track record, to be frank about it, it's just 3 starts against San Diego. The thing he's been able to avoid is he hasn't walked many hitters at all in those 3 games. He's walked 2 in 3 games facing the Padres' lifetime. And he's stayed away from damage because the Padres just haven't been able to barrel up his fastball. So to me, for almost any team, that's kind of one of the keys to Brian Wu is, can you get to that pitch? Because they're both 97-ish on the radar gun, but they move very differently. They're 2 absolutely unique and distinct pitches, and he can just really toy with you because of that. And so can the likes of Tatis and Machado and so forth and so on, can they actually do some damage to that pitch and make him have to go to his secondaries, which are still good, but when he's elite, it's because his fastballs are elite.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this series. I think it shakes out to be a compelling and interesting one that kicks off.
We're just looking for 2 or 3. That's it. We don't need anything else.
Yeah,
just
Padres
a
are
quick
looking
2 or
for
3.
2, and I think the Mariners are looking for the same thing. Aaron, appreciate you doing it, man. Hope you're doing well and enjoy your time in San Diego. All right.
Thank you, man.
Always do. Thanks, gentlemen.
All right. Great stuff from Aaron Goldsmith, again, TV broadcaster for the M's.
That's got to be tough, right? When you say enjoy your time in San Diego.
It is.
It's a stretch.
He's probably just like, hey, can I get in late and leave early?
Just as quick as I can get at it. What is that? Is that Coronado? What is that place?
Oh my gosh, what's the deal?
What is this Seaport Village area?
It's an island. What is this water?
You should come out to El Cajon. That's where you should come.
Yeah, exactly.
You should stay in El Cajon, get some good Middle Eastern food out there.
You know how we've been talking about Tatis to second base over the course of the weekend?
Did you see what I just saw?
I saw what you just saw. What's the reasoning for Tatis playing second base?
Damn, we both just saw that with zero communication with each other.
That's exactly right. Why is Tatis playing second base? You're going to hear from Harold Reynolds of MLB Network on the other side.
Interesting.
He reasons as to why, and we'll discuss it on the other side. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Schaefer and Sliwa, Darnay Tripp. He was down at Petco Park earlier. Not sure if he will be later, but he'll join us to talk more about the Padres coming up at 5 p.m. You and I both were talking about what Harold Reynolds on MLB Network had to say about Fernando Tatis Jr.
We're all over the place.
He is all over the place with this take.
Because we are first trying to, I think our initial thought was to bring up one point, and then there was another point that threw us off a little bit more.
Let's at least hear the start of this, Brent, and then we'll decide how much we need to hear. But Harold Reynolds on MLB Network has an interesting theory as to why Fernando Tatis Jr. played second base this weekend.
I thought it was a sign to move him. He's the most talented player in all of baseball.
Other than Ohtani.
Most talented player. Ohtani cannot play short. He can't play most talented player. And if you put him on the mound, I think he could pitch. Look, he's playing second base right now. He hadn't done it. Watch this pivot. Shortstop took his time. Why? Because you got this guy trying to pivot. All right? He can go get any ball. The range is ridiculous. He's an unbelievable player. We're being reminded of how great this guy is. Remember, he broke into the big leagues at shortstop. He didn't move because he wanted to. The team moved him. And he went to right field. He didn't want to go out there. You know what he did? He wanted a platinum glove. Why? Because he's got power and speed and can do so many things on a diamond. This is a couple things. He can go get it, and we know he can throw. That's what I'm saying. In all baseball, you'll do 30 teams. You put him on any roster, you're sitting there, including the Dodgers, you're saying, this guy may be the most talented guy I've ever seen. Because he can do so many.
Okay. I didn't realize how bad of a take it was. I just thought he started it, and there was some imaging in the background, so it was hard to hear. He started by saying he thought they were putting him at second base to profile him, right? To potentially shop him.
Yeah.
Shop him. Then he went on this crazy tangent, even when given a chance to get out from underneath it, about him being better than Shohei Ohtani, which makes zero sense. And
Can we go one by one?
How bad both of those
No,
takes are?
I just want to go. Let's go with the first one.
Yeah.
So are teams around Major League Baseball who were interested in Tatis before, maybe they weren't interested, saw him play second for 2 games.
2 days.
And now have decided we got to get into the Tatis mix.
Right. This is now raised his value.
I'm
and that's
confused.
why the Padres did it. Well, he's saying that's why the Padres did it.
Yeah. So by doing that, that's going to all of a sudden garner interest in Tatis because he played second for 2 days.
But Harold Reynolds is already saying he's the best player in the sport.
Yeah, okay. So the reason why I said just from if somebody's going to trade for Tatis, they're trading because he's a unbelievable right fielder. He's got crazy potential still. He's still at a young age. His contract's expensive, but you'd much rather have that contract than some of these other contracts that are on the Padres right now. That's why they're going to go make a move for who could be one of the faces of your franchise. You're not making a move, and nor are the Padres trying to say, hey, he can also play second, which is why you have some potential interest in him. The other stuff after that is even more absurd than that.
But I always have to start with the other stuff, Alan, because Harold Reynolds has done this for a long time. And listen, everyone has opinions that are off. I did the thing on the wrap-up show 3 years ago. I still get tagged into saying Ohtani was the most overrated player ever.
But so what has he done since? The moment you called him out, that was it.
But saying Fernando Tatis Jr. is the most talented player in baseball is asinine. I mean, asinine. Did he talk? He eventually talked about the trade. Yeah, we'll play in a second. But that's absurd. The dude is a shell of the player he was at the plate his first 3 years of the big leagues.
Yeah.
If you wanted to tell me in 2021, this guy's as good of a hitter as there is, and you're just saying that in generalities, I could buy his trajectory. I can't buy that.
There was a stretch early on around that time. You're like, this might be the best player in baseball.
Let's hear more. Let's hear more from Harold Reynolds on this idea of moving him.
I think this is a showcase because the Padres payroll, look at this. I know they're up there battling the Dodgers every year. We say it over and over and over. I'm sorry. They gotta do something. They can't carry this payroll. The Dodgers can't. They can't carry this. Somebody's got to go. So who of those guys do I want? I want Fernando Tatis.
He's the most movable for sure. And I think you make a very interesting point because what part other than Ohtani, because there's two players, a full-time starting pitcher and a DH, brings the most roster flexibility?
You got Mookie Betts.
That's
and
the guy.
this guy. That's it.
You can't compare. I'm sorry, he's going to have to do more to protect like Fernando Tatis Jr. on this April 14th, right on the eve of tax day is like this top 2 player in the sport. Honestly, and I'm saying this in San Diego, and I love this player. That's comical. He's got to go do that. That's not who he is. Sorry. And he by the way, he's not that player just because he spent 2 days at second base.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the angle is. I really am not. And to showcase him, listen, again, that doesn't mean that Tatis wouldn't have
he's got
a tremendous amount of value.
Yeah.
In regards to trading him. I think the only time you can really consider that, if you're here in San Diego and a lot of obviously San Diegans, he's one of the faces of the franchise by only having one of the top 4 major teams. You don't have 2 other NFL guys that you can talk about. You just don't have that, right? So Tatis, Machado, these names now, they're just a lot. Their presence is a lot bigger by just having the Padres here.
No Rivers and LT.
There's no Rivers, no LT. There's no Antonio Gates.
Exactly.
There's no however you want to look back at it. Tatis ain't going anywhere. And if there was, listen, maybe the point that they're making is new ownership's going to come in, and maybe they'll look to shed salary, things along those lines. Sure. Maybe that can happen.
That's kind of a different conversation.
Wouldn't that be in like a couple of years?
Or even a couple of months? And by the way, he's not being moved at the deadline. I don't think he's being moved. Could he have? I've never said he can't be moved. Of course, all players with deals that long, nobody can predict the future. I'm not going to sit here right now and be like, there isn't a world even where he could be moved this year. I don't see it. I'd be shocked if it happened, but I understand things happen. But the idea that you play 2 games in April at second base to showcase a player that per Harold Reynolds is already the most talented player in the sport, he's talking in circles there.
Just the problem is, even like you said, let's just say that Padres are 10 games below 500 before the trade deadline, and there's serious conversation of moving them. They move them. You have new ownership that walks in that trades away Fernando Tatis Jr.
Great start.
Just think about like the presence behind that. Imagine how then the city is going to kind of view you as owners. Listen, of the 3 guys, yes, I get it. If there are teams out there that want Tatis, of course they would. And there's still a lot of upside. His contract's actually reasonable to his age.
Agreed.
It's the Machados and the Xanders that you're looking at and you're saying, what the hell is that contract going to look like? By the way, the Xander one, it's already a question of what it looks like down the road. But Tatis, I find that very hard to believe.
We have time to discuss the Padres payroll moving forward, what it means to this ownership group and the next ownership group. But just because the Padres may be up against it financially doesn't mean they're putting Tatis at second to shed his contract and to potentially move this player. It's just they're not tied together.
That was very errant. It was
very odd.
And he's the best, basically saying he's the best player in baseball.
He's the best. I'm like, are you watching, Harold? Because I
don't think see him at the plate?
Yeah, I don't think you're watching. And again, I want to see that player, but I can't say that right now. All right, we'll get to the wrap on the other side. Darnay Tripp from NBC7 will join us at 5 p.m. Plus the Aztecs making moves in the transfer portal. We'll get into that in the 4 o'clock hour. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Summit Racing Equipment. The Padres and Mariners are getting set for game 1 of their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Brian Wu going for the M's and Michael King on the hill for the Friars. First pitch is set for 6:40. Tonight is the first of 4 play-in games today and tomorrow. The Heat and the Hornets get us started at 4:30, and then Portland and Phoenix are at 7 o'clock. All the play-in games are streaming on Amazon Prime this year. It's Car Care Month, and Summit Racing has what you need for bumper-to-bumper care. Revive the interior, exterior, underhood, and more. Shop summitracing.com. Use promo code RADIO for $10 off an order of $100 or more. Exclusions apply. Offers end May 3rd, 2026.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Schaefer and Sliwa. We're here until 6 p.m. Darnay Tripp from NBC7 will join us at 5 p.m. There's a lot to react to. I feel like isn't there a lot going on right now with the Padres specifically?
Yeah, it almost
salmon coming up.
Yeah, it almost feels like we've had since the start of our show. We're like, all right, what's going to happen? Is there a little bit of break? And we're getting a little bit of this by every minute that goes by. We're seeing a different tweet, but of course, the big stuff here with Pavetta.
Yeah, so Pavetta to the IL. Craig Stammen has spoken on this. We'll hear it in its entirety, hopefully within the hour. I think the gist of some of what he has said. What is it? Because you've seen it on social media in terms of the gist of what he has said about Pavetta.
Yeah, I just saw that it looks like they are getting some imaging done. They're going to get
the audio, by the way.
Okay.
So I'll send it to
So
you.
we'll get to that in a little bit here, but it sounds like there is going to be some imaging done. He just said it's too early to tell. That and we'll get, this is just based off of a couple quick clips I saw on Twitter, but we'll play the full audio of it. Not a great feeling. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know it. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't have. And I would have told you before we started the show that I think we all just assumed he was going to miss some time. Now the question is just going to be how much time is he going to miss? Is this just one of those? Yeah, we put him on the 15-day IL. And give it a little bit of time. Maybe it's a month. Maybe it's 2 months that you don't have Nick Pivetta. But if you're the Padres, that's just he's such a key piece to any type of success that you're going to have, and to stay in the mix in the NL and want to try to give yourself a cushion. It's tough you need Pivetta in there. So, or you're going to need other guys just stepping up like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was, to your point, it's hard to really fully react to it without knowing the extent of the injury. Because if it is minor.
So based off of what we know.
Based on what we know, I think it's fair to react as if it is concerning.
Yeah.
However, that could go one way or another. For example, the worst case with elbows, we all understand, is you're out for a year plus. That's a 10 on the scale, right? I think the best case here is 2 or 3 weeks. That's more of a 2 or 3 on the scale of 1 to 10 for me.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm sitting in that middle ground where I'm treating it like a 4 or 5. Like, hey, get him back in 3 or 4 weeks, and he can still be that player. There was 1 year in his career he missed a month's worth of time, came back and threw 134 innings on the other side. It was very good. So I have that perspective. But we just know, having watched how this played out, Musgrove 2024 postseason, Michael King, the injuries he dealt with in 2025, like this can take a turn for the worse, sadly, specifically when it comes to pitching injuries.
If you told me yesterday we played some Stammen, and he basically said that he could potentially be back for his next start.
Right.
If you'd have told me yesterday he's gonna miss a month, I'd be like, wow, he's gonna miss a month.
Yeah.
Today, as I sit here, you're almost kind of like, I'll take a month all day.
As I sit here today, would take the month.
I'd take a month.
Yeah, because it sounds to me like there's some indicators that are suggesting it could be longer than that. Does this start, Brent, with a question, or is this just get right to Craig Stammen on Nick Pivetta with an update? All right, so this is Craig Stammen. This just happened. He just spoke with the media within the last handful of minutes. Here was Craig Stammen. That wasn't it. I like how Craig Stammen has like a...
It's cool. I didn't know. Yeah, he's
like a feature sound.
He's almost sounds like an imaging guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just so pumped up for the wrap today.
Yeah, I think we're trying to be cautious with Nick, and I think the smartest move was to, not push him and give him some time on the IL and then figure it out from there. Still trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Medical team's going through the process. And then we'll probably have some more information coming up in the next couple of days.
Has he received imaging yet?
Yeah, he's gotten an MRI. Still going over it with the doctors and deciding what the next course of action is.
Okay, so corresponding to Alec Jacob, what do you expect his role to be when he's here?
Yeah, he's going to be in the bullpen. He can kind of do about anything down there. So excited to have him back. He's got a lot of major league experience and, fits into, what our bullpen does. They pitch, all the time and they do a very good job.
You see Matt Waldron too in the clubhouse. What's the plan for him?
Yeah, so Matt's eventually going to take Nick's spot in the rotation here going forward. We haven't decided exactly what day he's going to pitch, but, he'll be that fifth starter for us.
And then Jeremiah Estrada, could you provide an update on where he's at?
Yeah, Jeremiah's doing good. He's progressing. I think we did the right thing, being cautious with him also, and just trying to nip it in the bud right now so that we don't have to worry about this being a lingering issue throughout the season. So he's on his progression, and I think he started playing catch already. So we're in a good spot with Jeremiah, and hopefully things keep progressing the way they are, and then we'll get him out on rehab, and then we'll hopefully get him back.
When did he play catch?
I think he's throwing plyo balls. He might be playing catch today. I don't know exactly. It's kind of, day to day. Each day's different, but
light catch.
Yeah, very light. Like he's just getting started. So we had him a couple days down, and then get back into things, get strengthened up, and see how it feels, and then progress from there.
What Waldron did in 24, what kind of comfort is that? That he can step in and provide some good starts for a long stretch.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's a viable major league starter. He proved that. He carried our team in 24. When we really needed him, when the rotation was kind of struggling. And then from what we've seen in spring training too, we've got a lot of confidence in him. He's showing a lot of confidence that he believes in his stuff. And, the little bit of increase in velocity on his fastball and increase in velocity on his knuckleball, I think has proven to be very good, very beneficial for him.
Greg, kind of to that point, if Nick misses a significant amount of time, how well equipped do you feel that this roster is to handle that?
Yeah, I think we're in good shape. I think like what I said when it first happened, we got guys that can, have started a lot in the major leagues and have done well, that we have kind of waiting in the wings. And so, we got guys on the IL that could be coming back, and we got guys in AAA that are more than capable of handling a bunch of starts.
Fernando also mentioned he's going back to right field. What you like from him at second base? Do you think he will play that again later this year?
Yeah, I think it got everybody talking. That was kind of fun. But I think, he made it look easy. He didn't really have too many eye-opening plays. I think the biggest one was the turn of the double play, showing off his arm strength, which we knew he had. But it was just it's fun to see him out in the infield. I know he enjoyed it, and but we know his home is in right field. He's a very good right fielder. He's proven that he's an outstanding defender out there. So he's just a versatile athlete. We'll keep using him in that way.
Do you think the move infield sparked his offense at all?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just a really good hitter, and eventually he was going to get hits, and it happened to be the day that he was playing second base.
Even if it doesn't end up being a long-term thing, being a pitcher and kind of in Nick Pavetta's shoes, how frustrating is it to kind of go through something like this, especially so early in the season, knowing how competitive Nick is? I mean, you could tell when you took him out, the frustration was kind of all over his face.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's not fun to be taken out of a game in the middle of a game because your arm's hurting you. And he's been pitching good. Even yesterday, he's not feeling good, and he threw no-hit innings. And the last couple of games have been pretty good. And Nick's, obviously one of our best pitchers. So to lose him is going to be big, even for a short amount of time. But he's gonna work hard to get back, and we'll see. This won't be the last we see of Nick.
What's impressed you out of Waldron that you've seen from his minor league starts?
He's just carried on what we saw in spring training. We got really excited about what we saw. When he first made his Cactus League start, throwing 94 miles an hour, kind of sitting there, holding that velocity. Knuckleball had some more teeth to it, and then he's got really good command, elite fastball command, and command of his sweeper and cutter, and just able to use those pitches and mix them effectively. We've seen the same thing kind of progress through his minor league starts, and now that he's fully built up, we feel really good about him starting for us.
What are you hoping goes right with Pavetta this week?
Yeah, I think, one, you just want to get good news from, the imaging, and you want the doctors to feel very comfortable with the next steps in the progression, and then you want Nick to be on board with that also.
Just to clarify, based on what you guys know at this point, do you expect him to pitch again?
Yeah, I think, we're going through that process, and we'll determine what the best next steps are. All that's up to the medical team and Nick, and then, once we have an update on that, we'll let you guys know.
If an update on Griffin Kenny, his next step, and also how some of these was doing?
Yeah, both those guys. I mean, I think you've seen Griffin walking around here. He's throwing his bullpen here and then going back out on another start here. Should increase his pitch count. I think his last outing he went 61 pitches, I believe it was. So build him up, 10 or 15 more and keep building him up to where he's, capable of going out here and pitching 6-7 innings for us. Song, same thing. He's been playing almost every day down in AAA, doing really well, moving him around the diamond. Keep doing that, and see him soon.
Is Joe close to throwing bullpens yet, or what is he doing?
Joe is still working through his elbow and that progression, all that kind of stuff. He's not ready to throw off the mound yet. He's been throwing, just trying to be very smart and not overdo it and take it too fast.
The interesting thing, Alan, as we just heard from Craig Stammen about Nick Pivetta, is
the breaking down.
There's a lot to it because, I'll give you an example. Like when someone has an MRI, maybe there's two in the weeds. It's like, okay, the MRI is going to say something literally to the doctor, but the doctor doesn't determine what comes next for Nick Pavetta's career.
Sure. They'll have options.
Yeah. They may say, well, okay, this at one point will need to be surgically repaired. When? We don't know. Is it sooner rather than later? Hey, do you want to pitch with this? If there's some type of tear, but not a complete tear. I'm just making it up. So, sometimes people would hear something like what Craig Stammen just said. If it was Mike Schilt, and we'd be like, he really didn't say anything. He's not being transparent. But I think sometimes with like medical news like that, they don't actually know the next steps because it does need to be determined with like the training staff, the medical staff, and Nick Pavetta.
We want an answer right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? We all want to know.
Decisions.
Tell us, Craig, what happened? So what they say?
Done.
Give us an idea.
Yeah.
Give us, good news, bad news. And I think when you don't get that, then you just allow your mind to go in so many different areas. And off air, before coming into this, while Stammen was talking right now, you and I are kind of a little all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm searching like, hey, how long does it take to get an MRI back in Major League Baseball? Not me getting an MRI, billions and billions of dollars being thrown around in the league. I want to know what it is for them. I think at this point, you just kind of hope for the best, and we're probably within the next couple of days going to get some more information, and we'll kind of trickle in how it does. But not a good start. I think the best news today could have just been, hey, and didn't even, he could have taken time off. Like if Stammen would have said something to the effect, we're putting him on the 15-day IL, but we genuinely have no concern about a long-term injury or anything like that. The fact that there's an unknown here, I'm telling you, and I say this as a lot of Padre fans sit back and, you obviously want to see how this season plays out. You just don't know how many windows, how many opportunities you're going to get to go get a crack at a World Series. And I'm not telling you that this is the year that it would happen, but how successful can you be without your ace? And that's the part that is the question right now. And again, just it doesn't matter what they did, winning 4 games in a row or 8 of 9 or 9 of 11, whatever the case is. Now all you're really paying attention to is how do they put together this stretch here without somebody as key as Nick Pivetta?
Yeah, if somebody would have told me 2 weeks ago you're going to lose Nick Pivetta, I mean, I would have had grave concerns. So how could my opinion change 2 weeks later? Because they're 10-6. That's inconsequential to the goals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it matters. I'd prefer them. They're 10-6 to 6-10. I can't have a strong opinion yet because I don't know. If he is out for the year, of course it's grave. If it is 3 weeks, well, then hopefully he can return and look like the player he was previously.
This is why it's so tough in Major League Baseball. And I go back to what I said in the beginning, and it was one of the questions I had when we talked to Aaron Goldsmith, who's the voice of the Mariners, about the structure of baseball. You don't have margin for error. There's certain teams you just do not have margin for error. And I think this is part of when I talk about just where baseball is today. This is my frustration. My frustration is certain squads can go through injuries like this and still actually figure out a way because they have a plan B, C, D, and E. There's most teams in Major League Baseball, you lose somebody like Pavetta, you lose him for an extended period of time. I mean, last year, obviously, we saw what happened. It's like you can't go into a series without Laureano. You can't go into a series, you thought, without Jason Adam. You can't. Michael King is not Michael King. You need everything to be almost perfect to compete. And this is just obviously comes with the territory of sports, but this is a tough one to figure out and see when Pivetta comes back.
It is. All right. We'll continue to react to that. We'll get to the wrap coming up. Darnay Tripp from NBC 7 at 5 p.m. He asked one of those questions to Greg Stammen. We'll get his thoughts on the Nick Pivetta news as well. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Aztecs active in the transfer portal here today. Once again, we'll get into that coming up later in the hour. We typically get to the wrap around 4, but we heard from Craig Stammen. There's some news on Nick Pivetta. He is on the 15-day IL.
Got to move some things sometimes.
So we had to move some things.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's get to it.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Who do you guys like tonight to win to win tonight's 9-10 playing games?
Okay.
All right, 9-10 playing games. I actually have to see. I think I confused myself. I don't think, I want to say there's a 7 and 8 today. Are they both 9-10 or is there a 7 and 8?
No, these are 9-10, right?
Let me tell you guys right now.
Because I thought they were 9-10s. They could be wrong.
So there's a Trailblazers Suns. So that's your 7-8. I did this morning. That's the only reason why I know. Because other than that, why the hell would I pay that much attention? So Suns Blazers is a 7-8 matchup. I like the Suns in that one. And the Heat Hornets. The NBA is honestly like, remember when I mentioned sometimes I say like, hey, if Luka's not playing for the Lakers, it hurts the NBA. What does the NBA do if the Hornets fall tonight and they're out?
Great point. Be tough to see.
What do they do? I'm not kidding here. Very low key here. Con Knipple might be my top.
You do like him.
14 players in the NBA. I'm a Knipple guy.
You're a Knipple guy.
I'm going Hornets, Suns.
Dude, now that you mention this, that it's 9-10 and 7-8, and I didn't recognize it, even though I looked today at the matchups. This
tells you more how pathetic the standings are.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Suns are actually good.
But this doesn't make sense to me because I'll give you an example. I'm trying to think of the math I'm trying to go here. Doesn't one of these teams have an advantage?
Where are you going? Take your time. I want you to take your time.
I'm trying to do them because the 9-10 loser is down.
9-10 loser is out.
So the winner of Hornets Heat, are they playing? They get an extra day off. Why are we giving the winner of Hornets Heat a day off?
I like this.
See where I'm going with that?
Well, they're all getting a day off.
Oh, because there's two. Oh, it goes through
all
Friday.
Getting a day off.
I don't even care. I'm done. I don't care. I don't care.
So tomorrow will be Magic Sixers. Yeah. And then Warriors Clippers.
And then it's Friday.
No game Thursday, and they all come in on Friday.
You know, here's my thoughts on who's going to win. I don't care. After all that, I don't care. I'm so mad
Jesus,
at this
man.
Why isn't 15 playing 14? I can't deal with this. I'm so mad about it.
Listen, if you told me right now it's up to you on baseball that 20 get in, I'm in.
20 for baseball.
I need
and then one game play-ins.
I need the Padres to get in every year.
No, I can't see 20 in.
No, it's absurd. It's way too much. What's the number right now? It's 4.
Baseball's
no, they're 12. Yeah, they're 12.
Which is okay. 12 out of 30. Okay.
Well, 12 is like sounds like 20 based on how baseball used to do things.
I mean, it was 4 30 years ago.
What the hell was that?
60 years ago, it was 2. Pennant winner. American League, National League. So it's changed a lot. And so is basketball. Yeah. Now, I don't even want to deal with the question. Next question.
Are you guys concerned that San Diego FC has been winless in its last 4 matches?
Yeah, and here's another concern. Every time I'm watching a game, I just see red next to SDFC because they got another guy out of the game. It is concerning. They built such a... And listening over these last couple of weeks, we had Darren on. We've had a couple of guests on talking SDFC. There is this just, no. They're going to get back on track. They'll be fine, and it hasn't happened yet. It's a long season. I really hope SDFC, obviously they don't have to be the best team in the West or anything like that, but you want to see them back in the postseason. It was a great time for that brief period there for everybody in San Diego to go to Snapdragon. You got these playoff games that you're hosting, but I am concerned that there's been a stretch here where you're just waiting for them to start looking a little bit like they did last season, and we haven't seen it yet.
The good news is it's 7 matches.
Yeah.
And they'll play 30-something. The bad news is they're in 8th place right now in the Western Conference. And we saw them towards the top of the table, obviously, last year. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately they will be fine. In those 4 matches, 2 losses, 2 ties in their last 4 matches. And again, they're going to be playing coming up against, let me get the date on it, against Salt Lake. And that is Saturday night. They'll be on the road. Try and snap that Saturday night. Next question.
Is Seattle the most underrated sports city in the country?
All right, so Padres Mariners tonight. Here's where I think they become most underrated. They just got to add the Sonics back.
Okay. Then they have all 4 of the big 4.
Then that's a phenomenal sports market. I think it's underrated in the sense that I don't think people understand just how passionate they are. Of course, it all starts with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I do think that instantly they become phenomenal in the NBA again, in the sense that the audience and the crowd will be
Relevance,
there. Mariners, you were telling me a little bit earlier, there was a long stretch where they weren't good. Well, you got to be good. I mean, if you want people to care about you, but you also got college football there is phenomenal. I mean, I think it's a great sports market.
I think I would say it was probably underrated.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to describe it. Honestly, I'll go a little further here. I would call San Diego underrated. I don't think San Diego gets near the appreciation it should.
Here's why.
Well, because we only have.
That's the problem. The problem is, listen, I think it's, once you see that the Padres are selling out every game, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, look how much they care about the Padres. Once you see SDFC was having success, oh, my gosh, wow. You go to a game at Viejas and you see San Diego State. The problem is we only have one of the four major sports, and that's what I think it's underrated, no question about it, but you also have to have more professional sports to be properly rated.
Yeah, it's fair. Final question.
Will San Diego State be a tournament team in its first year in the Pac-12?
It's easy. When are they expanding? Expanding it?
So, you know what's interesting? We should find out within weeks.
Okay.
I would think April, May, we'll know whether it's happening or not.
Look, I'm going to go with what San Diego State, the surprise this season was that they didn't make the tournament. There was obviously a long stretch of San Diego State basketball where the surprise would always be, are they going to make the tournament? And then it's just like shocking off they made it. Well, they changed the way you think about that university over the last 15, 20 years because they're always in the tournament. So I'm going to go with, if they have a year that they're not in, that means that gives me a stronger hope that they're going to get in.
I agree with you. We'll talk more about the Aztecs coming up around 4:45 in the next 15 or 20 minutes. Plus, Darnay Tripp will join us at 5 p.m. He's been down at Petco Park this afternoon. Darnay Tripp from NBC7 will join us in 30 minutes here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Staples. Padres and Mariners are getting ready for game 1 of their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Brian Wu going for the M's and Michael King on the hill for the Friars. First pitch is set for 6:40. Tonight, the playing games begin in the NBA. Here in about a couple minutes or so, the Heat and the Hornets are about to tip off. Then at 7 o'clock, it's Portland and the Suns. Both the games are streaming on Amazon Prime. Staples has hundreds of great ways to boost your brand, like spectacular signs, brilliant brochures, eye-popping posters, mouth-watering menus, and more. Shop now through April 18th and save up to $125 on all your custom prints. Staples, that was easy.
All right, San Diego Sports 760. Schaefer and Sliwa, John Schaefer, Alan Sliwa, Darnay Tripp. What's going on, man? Darnay Tripp, NBC 7. He's been down at Petco. He'll join us coming up at 5 p.m. I got my twist his arm, but he's never been on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he didn't like it either.
Did you guys know each other?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you never group chatted or met him or.
No, I think we have met.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Well, here's what I was going to say. I think lead question for him.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned this yesterday with Mark Medina.
Yeah.
Mark Medina was coming on NBA, and we said, what if we throw him like a 12th pick of the WNBA?
Should have.
You should start with him.
7, 8, 9. 10.
Yes.
Like, why is the 9-10 game in the East, but the 7-8 game? I'm sorry.
By the way, I love this because you're so frustrated by it. And I kind of get it.
Here, one thing most people would say about me, and I'll even say this about myself.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with the way like sports work in America. Now, I'm not going to say it about European soccer, even Major League Soccer. I've done a lot of learning, and I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But I don't get fooled on like I know everything about how the NCAA tournament operates. I know everything about Wild Card Weekend in the NFL. Like, you're not going to fool me. Like, I
mean like structurally or why they do it?
Everything about it. I've read up on it. Like, that's like my wheelhouse. Like, I know everything about it. Like, I know how leagues used to be 2-3-2 in some sports, but then they went to 2-2-1-1-1. And here's why it changed. Again, that's not really an important skill set in life.
NBA got you. They got you on this one.
NBA got me on their playing tournament, and I'm pissed off about it. I don't like the tournament.
Okay.
I'm going to sit here and say that right now.
Well, first off, I don't understand that structure because both you and I were saying, well, why don't you just go 7-8, 7-8 on the first day?
So then the loser gets the extra day rest.
So that you can reward the teams that are in their spot to the playoffs. By the way, that also adds the clarity of saying the 7-2 is now
the matchup.
It's done.
I have a theory on why they're not doing it. And the theory involves their $77 billion TV deal. And hear me out. On each of these two nights where you're getting a 7 versus 8 and a 9 versus 10, one team playing each night, their season is over. If we had 7-8, 7-8 tonight, Western Conference, Eastern Conference, the loser's not going anywhere other than to the next game. But tonight, one of these 4 teams, I'm sure America's just sitting.
Yeah, I was just going to say the problem is it's not a big enough sell.
Nobody's sitting there like, man, if the Heat season ends tonight, like it's going to be tough to move on. Like, I mean, maybe there's someone in Miami saying that, you know, but by and large,
that's pretty funny.
Are they selling these games out? Yeah, the Hornets should be sold out.
They're going to sell them out, brother. They're going to freaking sell them out. And if I'm being honest with you, here's what's going to happen too. In Charlotte, where you're not getting playoff basketball. This is like uncommon ground. This is, by the way, Brandon Miller.
Yeah, Concanipple,
LaMelo Ball. Like you got some fun players to watch.
Right.
They will sell out. Of course they will sell out. Now, you might have franchises when it's the Clippers and the Warriors, 2 franchises that you would have expected to be much further up in the standings, or, you know, maybe that one's going to be different, but a Charlotte Hornets, they'll sell out.
I will officially say the NBA has a problem that cannot be fixed if we get, at some point this week, load management in a 7-8 game, where they're like saving someone for their second game.
Okay,
in the play.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because you
well,
lose
if it's a blowout,
game,
if I know you're not going to like this, but I'll go with the strategy. If the Suns are blowing out the Portland Trailblazers tonight,
going to sit everyone.
Well, Devin Booker is going to sit too. Like they're going to start taking their stars out because they won the game.
I don't even know what to say. I have nothing to
Darnay's
say.
got it all. We're going to ask
Darnay.
him first.
He's an
first
NBA
question.
guy. He's an NBA guy. So
Okay.
he'll join us coming up at 5 p.m. I do want to talk Aztecs, the transfer portal, because I think Aztec fans, I mean, there's nothing like the transfer portal. We can touch on it right here since we just have a handful of minutes. There's no comparison in professional sports to the transfer portal. What do I mean by that? Yeah, there's free agency in every sport, but you know the terms of the contract. You know options. Okay. LeBron has a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option, or Nick Pivetta has a 4-year deal, but it's actually a 2-year deal. He's got a player option after the 2nd year. Whatever it is, you know the terms heading into the deal.
Mm-hmm.
In everything but basically college football and basketball. And it's opened up this ridiculous world that we all live in if you consume college sports. So, I mean, this isn't some surprise, but the point is it creates all this like movement. It just creates this incredible movement. And I don't know who
There's
the real
zero stability.
No stability. Thank you. And the winner, sure, you want to have money because the money is allowing the teams that have it to use it on these players that are available. Anyway, it's a long way of me saying this. From when San Diego State went to the national championship game in 2023, with essentially 9 players in the rotation that had been in the rotation for multiple years, to today, that's only been, 3 years and 15 days.
Wow.
No, 3 years and 10 days. They played April 3rd in the national championship, whatever it is. So, I mean, that's a 180, that's not a cliche. It's a literal 180 from Nathan Mensah and Agwuka Rope and Lamont Butler and like their tenures to where we are now. But I would say this, I have a caveat for you. I still think San Diego State can win in this environment. I think it's just a different way to win. They've lost a lot of pieces off last year's team. I would kind of say this too. You can't have it both ways. There's people that tell me, blow it up. They didn't make the tournament. They underperformed. And then when those players leave and say they can't retain talent, San Diego State can't compete with Kentucky and Kansas. They don't have the same resources. They never had the same resources as Kentucky or Kansas ever. And they played for a national championship and 4 Sweet 16 since 2011. That's more than Indiana, I believe. Don't quote me, but quote me. So my point is, just Brian Dutcher said this. Tell me the rules. I'll figure out a way to get it done. I just want to know the rules. My issue with right now is there aren't a lot of great rules. So I think they'll navigate it effectively. They'll put tournament teams on the floor, hopefully as soon as 2027, next NCAA tournament. My issue right now is that there need to be more rules. I don't even care if they favor power or this, that. I just need more rules moving forward to get a handle on how this is playing out.
Yeah, I think, one of the advantages San Diego State had, and there's always a way, always a way.
Exactly.
I don't care if, we could look at, and my thoughts on baseball, but I could look at the Dodgers and there's a way to beat the Dodgers. There is. Will anybody do it? I don't know, but it's not. It happens in baseball.
Of course.
In the NFL, you can have squads that kind of, whether they come out of nowhere, maybe last year didn't make the postseason, there's a path. And I think with San Diego State, one of the advantages you had is, okay, we can't go out there and get a top 10 recruit. But if we can keep guys for a few years, and San Diego State wasn't the only program doing this. There were other programs, mid-majors, things along those lines, where we'll win because we have stability, because our guys know how to play with each other. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of times when you look at when it's time for the Olympics, and it's like USA is going up against, they're going up against, just trying to think here, they're going up against Greece or Germany or France or one of these. And there's this, but these guys all play with each other a ton. And that's the advantage that they might have against the USA. Then USA wins by 40 and it doesn't matter because they're just more talented. But I think that's one of the things that I don't like about the structure of college basketball today is now you can't even have stability. Now you can't even bring guys back where you're saying to yourself, we got almost whatever happened last season, let these guys learn from it. Let's bring them back and then try to add to that mix. Now it's like whatever happened last season, you got to start. You got to start all over again.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I feel similarly to that. It's interesting because San Diego State last year returned as much production as basically anyone in the country, but it didn't get them where they wanted to go.
Why is that, you think?
Prior,
because I don't think it was a lack of talent.
No, it wasn't. I mean, sometimes because
did it not gel?
It's you and I have covered sports for so long. There's also maybe it's gelling. Maybe there's other factors at play. As in, You lost a game in double overtime because some dude hit some shot. Like some of it, if you had won that game against Troy at home, you're in the tournament. Well, you lost in double overtime. Like
but is it as simple as that? Like let's say they beat Troy.
They would have been in the tournament.
But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is when you walk into a season where it felt like this is supposed to work.
Right.
And they're supposed to go far this year, and they don't even make the tournament. I get it. Yes, the Troy game killed them. It hurt them. But they never really kind of sold anybody on thinking that this is a team that can make a deep run in the tournament.
That's a good conversation. That is one that we'll probably have over the next 6 months. And it's hard for me to put my exact finger on the reasons that played out. Could you have too much talent? I don't know. They had a lot of players.
Sometimes you can. Sometimes it's more about
like
having a role.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than talent.
But to put a bow on this, just San Diego State transfer portal for right now, they're adding high-level players. Yes, they're losing significant pieces. Players like Miles Byrd and B.J. Davis. These are very good players. Magoon Guath that are going to depart in all likelihood. Some of those have made their announcements. Some haven't. But they added a kid today from Rice who shot 40% from three on over 200 attempts. That's worth 16 points per game. Like they're not just, we're going to replace Miles Byrd or Reese Dixon Waters with some rando. No, they're adding players that they think will fit in their system. Another kid out of San Diego, Jeremiah Bear Cherry, he goes by. Really skilled player, big, 6'11". They added him within the last week. So my point is, yeah, you're losing pieces, but I do feel like they backfill appropriately and they backfill to their styles and needs. They don't settle. They get what they want. Now the question is, will they be able to put a team on the court together that can win at the level everyone wants?
And it's also, an incredible, as we sit back here and we talk about this player went to Providence or this player went to wherever some of these San Diego State kids are going. It's also got to be huge for these players coming in. Wow, I get to play for San Diego State.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not any BS, any of that stuff. We're talking about a very consistent program in college basketball now for a number of years. And like you said, by the way, I do like shooting 40% from three. Is there stylistically for San Diego State? Is there a little bit of an adjustment of how they're going to play moving forward? Are you, if they have been, their foundation has been on the defensive side, is there going to come a time where it's a little bit more of a mix? It's like, we also got to try to put up 75 points a night, whatever it is, right? I think that's going to be part of the evolution for San Diego State as well that I'm sure Dutch is on top of.
And we'll be touching on it, I'm sure, over the course of the offseason. All right, we'll get back to the Padres on the other side as they go for a sixth consecutive win tonight in the opener against the Mariners. Plus, Darnay Tripp from NBC7 joins the show coming up at 5 p.m. on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Schaefer and Sliwa, Darnay Tripp. I think he's out at Petco Park from NBC7. He'll join us coming up at 5 p.m. Again, the news of the day, if you're a Padres fan, is Nick Pavetta has been placed on the IL. They can backdate that to Sunday, but again, that doesn't really change anything. What everyone's concerned about is his health. And we talked about this earlier, we all want clarity. We just want like the answer. That's how I feel like human beings are wired for clarity. I hate open-ended things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really do. There's certain examples of that where I'm like, just tell me. Like, oh, I just want to know, even if the news isn't good in general. Oh, we're not sure if we're going to be able to keep you on payroll or not. We'll let you know. What do you mean? No, I need clarity, whether it's good news or bad news. That's my issue with where they sit right now with Nick Pivetta. I don't know how long it's going to take for either Pivetta or Padres fans to get clarity.
The text that says, we need to talk. It's like, well, I'll just call you right now.
I don't want to talk. Right. Yeah.
I want to know.
Later,
I want to know
Schaefer,
what it is that we want to talk about right now.
What is it?
Listen, I think we're just going to have to be patient on this one. And I'm sure the Padres and Nick Pivetta are obviously trying to figure out what's the best way of approaching this. I'm sure they don't have clarity. So as much as we'd like clarity, this is something that at the end of the day, you're looking out for Nick Pivetta. You want Nick Pivetta, who has done such a phenomenal job for the Padres since he's been here and has worked his way to literally being the ace for the San Diego Padres. You just want him to be healthy. Hopefully we're all sitting here in a position in a month from now, we're talking about Pivetta making a return. From a team perspective and do you ever do this? I swear on my life this happens to me. This happened to me on Sunday when I told you, I said I was watching the game on my phone and, here the Padres, a little bit of a cushion of a lead, trying to win, trying to sweep the Colorado Rockies, and you're starting to feel good about the Padres. And then I just hear, I'm listening to the broadcasters and they're saying something about Pivetta and Niebla's, up and is he coming out? And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. And then the moment they pull Nick Pivetta out of the game, what goes through your mind? I swear for me, it's like, why do I attach so many things that have nothing to do with that moment? But when a negative moment happens in sports, I start thinking about, oh my gosh, this happened. And then remember when that happened.
Right.
And how come this always happens to San Diego? And I start layering 77 things in, and I don't even know the full story. I know nothing about it. That's where my mind goes.
I think it goes there because of the perspective of what has played out previously. I don't think you'd go there if you were a Patriots fan. I don't think you'd go there
when everything works out your way.
Bulls fan in 25 years ago. But I think when you grew up in San Diego, you're a diehard San Diego sports fan, whatever it is, and you haven't seen anything in your lifetime. We're not spring chickens. You're not 19. So when you know what it was like to be a kid as a sports fan, you know what it's like to be an adult as a sports fan. Some kids, you get championships at 7, 9, 11, 12, and 16. And others, you don't until you're 80. Although we talked about this before with the cities. Yeah, okay, you're right. Red Sox didn't win. Well, guess what? The Bruins did, and the Celtics did, and the Patriots did. Yeah, you're right. The Cubs didn't win, but guess what? The Bulls did. Cleveland had that going on. They didn't win. Well, then they did win because LeBron came back, and that was a massive local and national angle to that championship.
Then I could look. This is where my mind goes. I can be like, well, Ohio State. I could instantly go to like, well, they have this, they have that.
San Diego's a unicorn, not in a good way when it comes to that. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I don't have any answer for it. I don't think it's personally. We talked about this yesterday. Some curse. I just think that your mind goes there because you've lived through it.
That's where my mind went when Pivetta went out. And again, you just for what it's worth, you kind of go to. Sometimes you just go to worst case scenario.
Yeah, exactly. This season over.
And there's been so many times where you've gone to worst case scenario and it's been proven to be wrong.
Sure.
But those one or two times that it was proven to be right, it's like that's what sticks in your head.
Here's what also crossed my mind since this played out Sunday. There was a tweet, and this is so Bob Nightingale. Bob Nightingale, who covers baseball but gets most things wrong, sent out a tweet probably within 48 hours.
Not like Rosenthal.
He gets it even worse, right? He probably sent out a tweet within 48 hours of Pavetta's last start saying, oh, by the way, rival executives are all over Nick Pivetta going into free agency at the end of the year. Well, by the way, of course, He signed a 4-year deal. That's a 2-year deal with an option. That is the deal. So, yes, you want him to outperform the contract.
Sure.
But then I'm thinking to myself,
Michael King's structuring his.
Yeah, everyone's doing it. Michael King's a free agent at the end of this year. Thank you. But now I'm thinking to myself, Bob Nightingale jinxed it. I only partially kid. And then secondly, what does this mean for Nick Pivetta? If he actually isn't healthy, you're talking tens of millions of dollars on the table.
Brother, we have a player right now on the Padres. I watched this all play out. You know, obviously, for those who are still getting to know me and everything else, I was on radio in LA every day for basically 4 years outside of the Lakers stuff. This is every day.
Yeah, sports talk.
Walker Buehler.
Sure. Yeah. In terms of his career arc.
Walker Buehler was untouchable.
Yeah.
And then started getting the injuries and never really got that true payday that some of these other players ended up getting.
Yeah, it's great. That's a good one.
And again, I use Buehler as the perfect example is because what is Buehler trying to do today for the San Diego Padres? Buehler is still trying to show that he's got it in this league and he's worth X amount of dollars on another team. But he's the perfect example because, you know, you got a lot of these. We look at star players like that. If you go look at Walker Buehler's resume, go look at his resume compared to what he's got paid. His injuries stopped him from getting that big payday.
His career earnings, again, you're probably going to be able to avoid the streets, but compared to other pitchers,
that's all I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say, you know, for what he accomplished versus what some of these other pitchers have been getting in the open market.
He's got, I think, in the neighborhood of $40 million in career earnings, which again, compared to there's pitchers that are making $40 million in a year.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So you just looked that up.
Yeah.
If I told you Walker Buehler's career earnings and you didn't look that up, what would you have said? I'd have probably said 80-ish. Knowing he didn't get that big, Buehler. He didn't get that big contract. $40 million for Walker Buehler.
Yeah, I mean,
means the Dodgers were paying him $100,000 a year.
I mean, to your point, there's pitchers in the major leagues now. Again, they've had long, successful careers, but like, there's pitchers that have made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. But you're right. I mean, it's a product of like health and circumstance. So, I mean, you go there too with Pavetta.
That's the personal part for Pavetta.
Exactly. But the team part is the part
that Pavetta is going to try. He's got 2 goals this year to be the best version of himself for himself and be the best version of himself for the Padres. And obviously, if he's able to do that, then where does that, put him, his future? Michael King kind of in a similar situation for the Padres as well.
100%. All right, Darnay Tripp with more of the Padres. He's down at Petco Park with NBC7, friend of the station. His first visit on Schaefer and Sliwa coming up next on San Diego Sports 760.
This report is sponsored by Airtasker. The Padres and Mariners are getting set for game 1 of their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Brian Wu going for the Mariners and Michael King for the Padres. First pitch is set for 6:40. Tonight is the beginning of the NBA play-in games. Right now, Heat and Hornets with about 4 minutes, about a little under 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. It is 22-18 Charlotte. Then coming up tonight at 7:30, we got Portland and Phoenix. Both games are streaming on Amazon Prime. Meet Chris. He's handy with tools and tech and likes earning extra income on his own terms. With Airtasker, he chooses which tasks he wants, when to work, and names his price. Download the Airtasker app or go to airtasker.com. Airtasker, get anything done.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of what I would still call the all-new Schaefer and Sliwa.
Yeah.
It's all new for Darnay Tripp of NBC7 because he hasn't yet been on the show. So I'm being told, correct me if I'm wrong, Darnay, because I want to say you know Alan. Do you know Alan? Maybe you guys can have this conversation. Have you guys ever met each other?
we've met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was telling you.
Where was I at?
Well, it's kind of one of those. Darnay and I go way back, so it's like we'd like to invite you. Sometimes it's up in the air.
Right.
I think we texted. Didn't we text him? I think we texted him. We might have texted him.
I think John ghosted us, actually.
Wouldn't be shocking. All right, Darnay Tripp. I'm going to now say friend of the station. I think he will be a friend of the show. Schaefer and Sliwa back with us here on San Diego Sports 760 from NBC7. So I've noticed from your timeline that you've been down at Petco Park here this afternoon. Let's just start with Nick Pivetta. How do you just read the situation? We know he's on the IL. You heard what Craig Stammen had to say. Are you more optimistic or less optimistic based on what you're hearing right now?
Well, we tend to have kind of a negative skew with these things until you hear something positive. And I don't know that we heard anything positive today. Right. Clearly not out of the weeds, 15-day IL. Hopefully that's all it ends up being. But Stammen said they're still kind of going over the MRI to kind of determine the plan going forward, and they'll have more information in a couple of days. So I kind of feel like until they say, we're out of the weeds, this is the plan going forward, we avoided anything serious, it's hard to really feel great about it. Obviously, Matt Waldron is here, and it looks like he'll be the starter on Friday or whenever Pavetta was slotted in again for the Padres. So it's a tough situation, but, we've seen so many of these through the years, and they all haven't turned out negative, worst case scenario. But, it's hard to sit here when he had to slow down during the spring, and then this situation flares up again. If it is related or not, it's hard to feel, great about it and have a whole lot of confidence that, is it going to be less than, a month? Who's to say it's a 15-day IL? But given how important he is to this club, this doesn't feel like Stammen said they're taking a cautious approach. It feels like they need to take a very, very cautious approach with this.
Darnay, I think you said it best. There is a knee-jerk reaction is always like, tell me something that everything's okay. Right. So, listening to, we played back the full Craig Stammen interview that he had with you guys, and I'm just like, you're analyzing every single word he says, and you want something positive from it. At the end of the day, we'll just have to wait and see. I just, I'll ask you this question. I already know the answer, but I think you can give just a little bit more context to it. How big of a blow is this to the Padres, who it just feels like you had to have not just Pavetta, but also Michael King be great in every one of their starts. And then, Randy Vasquez is continuing to develop, and we'll see the type of player he is. And he's looked really good so far this year. But just looking at the starters, looking at where Joe Musgrove is, looking at Buehler and Marquez, not really 100% sure what you're going to get in their starts. Just how big of a blow is this?
Yeah, I mean,
there was very little margin for error, right, going into this. And then you have this injury on top. And, I guess it's only as big of a blow as, Matt Waldron is effective. And we've seen him be effective. He was that for 2024, but, he wasn't getting Cy Young votes. He wasn't in Cy Young consideration the way that Nick Pivetta was last year. And Pavetta was just so rock solid. He was a stopper for this team. And there was a trust factor that you had in him that you had with, probably Michael King the year before. You've had with guys like Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish in the past.
Sure.
That, you don't have that comfort level with the Matt Waldron, even if he can come back and replicate the stretch that he had in 2024 when he was a guy that, was probably a high 3, low 4 ERA type of pitcher. And it's just hard to know if he can be that on a consistent basis. They seem pretty optimistic about, the uptick in velocity and how he's kind of altered his approach with that. But Pivetta is a huge arm for a team that had Michael King coming off an injury. Randy Vasquez, like you said, like super positive signs early on. But you want to go into a given week feeling good about more than just Randy Vasquez and Michael King. You already have 2 big question marks in the back of the rotation, and now you have a third. We've seen Matt Waldron be good. They need him to be really good, and he seems like he's really excited about the opportunity now coming into it.
Yeah, it is a great opportunity, obviously, for Matt Waldron. And the thing, if you're AJ Preller, is you'll have some options here. It's not like this happened the day before the NLCS, So let's see how this plays out in the days and weeks ahead. Darnay Tripp, NBC7, back with us on Schaefer and Sliwa. How do you read the whole Tatis infield outfield dynamic? What's to come from it? It was just a product of circumstance, apparently. Do you think we'll see him more often at second base, or it was just a product of circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, Craig Salmon said, he's a versatile athlete and we'll continue to use him as such. So I feel pretty confident that we're going to see him at second base again.
Right.
And look, he's already built in an off day for Manny Machado, Cronenworth, Bogarts, Laureano, among others. Like, they're clearly going into the season knowing, like, we got to pace our guys. It's a long year, and they were obviously worn down last year. And it would appear that the plan, when those guys in the middle of the infield are getting day off, is for Fernando Tatis Jr. to step in. Now, at some point, Sung Moon Song will come in, and so that will be an option there. But, Craig Salmon clearly isn't shy about getting a little creative and trying different things, which I think makes it fun and interesting. And I think they see what they have in Fernando Tatis Jr., but he did also say, we know his home is in right field. And so I wouldn't read into it anything beyond that, beyond just, hey, we've got this tool. We've got a guy we can put anywhere. He's super talented. We know he can hold his own. When it makes sense, let's slide him in. It probably doesn't need to be a bigger deal than that. I don't think it is. So I think it's something we're going to see, but I think they also know that, he's a 2-time Platinum Glove, a Platinum Award winner, in the outfield. No reason to kind of really question his home defensively too much beyond that.
Darnay, I know there probably isn't, a clear answer to this, but the article a little bit earlier today talking about Giolito, who's available, is not signed with a team, and whatever his reasoning is, and could potentially get some interest from the Padres and the Chicago Cubs. Do you think the fact that we're in the middle of the Padres could potentially get sold this month, could get sold, within the next couple of months, whatever you want to look at, but it seems to be a time frame of sometime in April. How flexible do you think they can be in this kind of situation? Is there, you think, opportunities to where current ownership can make moves, or does that pause everything for now?
That's a great question. And, you do wonder in a situation like this, how cognizant you have to be about that. Now, I don't know what a contract would look like for a Lucas Giolito. So how much of an undertaking what it would be. You're certainly not thinking of a, Juan Soto type contract where it is really like altering the books, or, even a much lesser deal. But, the other thing too is, like, and I don't know what to read into this, but Griffin Canning was in the clubhouse today. Now, I don't think there's the expectation that we're going to see him anytime soon. Everybody's been saying May. May will be here before we know it. What, week and a half or so away, a couple weeks away. So there is, there is another guy kind of waiting in the wings that we expect to see at some point. The Giolito talk is interesting, and certainly makes sense that the Padres would be interested in him. But the ownership question is a really interesting piece. And I thought that even going back to the off season, and that was before like the wheels really got turning, and you heard about, we knew that they were going to sell, but you didn't have kind of the reports of who was involved. And you're during the off season, you got to make moves. And part of me almost wondered, couldn't the Sidlers go out and get a Zach Gallen and make somebody else pay the bill down the road? Now that you're at this point and the 4 groups that are involved, probably a little bit more sensitive, and you have to be cognizant of that. But it's an interesting, it's never simple with the Padres, it seems. And this is a great example of that.
Darnay, I do like the idea of, well, it's not going to be on my tab. I mean, when you go to dinner or something,
Right,
somebody else is paying. Let's do a little surf and turf.
You go to the bar and say, yeah, I'll have a beer. Schaefer is the name on the card.
Right,
yeah,
Schaefer.
Forget it. Do bourbon.
It'll be a nicer beer. Darnay, I'm curious to get your thoughts. I get it. You've seen this conversation play out. I know they've played 16 games, but we've all seen what Mason Miller has done. I'm curious to get your thoughts on the idea that can a reliever win a Cy Young? I know it's 16 games, but if you were able to put together a season that's anything like the 16 games the Padres have played to this point, do you think it's possible? I guess I'd ask it that way. Is it possible for Mason Miller?
And I think, I always have a tough time saying hard no to anything because you just never know. And is he going to continue to strike out batters the way that he has to this point? At some point he's going to give up a hit. At some point he might even give up a home run. At some point these things are going to happen. But if he can keep up to some degree what he's done, I think the fact that it's getting so much attention as it should early in the season helps because so much of it is narrative, the awareness nationally of what he's doing. And I think that exists. And then the other thing is does Paul Skeens have a 1.98 ERA? Because if that's the case, then it's probably not a conversation. Sure. But if it's a year where you don't have a starting pitcher that is a runaway, clear Cy Young winner, putting together that type of year, then that opens the door for an incredible reliever. And that's what Mason Miller has been to this point. And so I think it's fun to even have that conversation. Like you said, super long year. But it's also weird because you watch it and you're like, this doesn't seem like a fluke,
right.
Randy Vasquez, you watch him last year, you're like, I don't know about this. Matt Waldron 2 years ago, you're like, I don't know about this, but it's nice that it's going the way that it is. You watch Mason Miller, you're like, yep, that makes sense. So we'll see.
Final one for me. I'm curious, and I know it's been not even 30 full days or 1 month, but just so far, Craig Stammen getting a chance to manage the Padres, his first time as a manager. They start out the season 2-5, and John and I are hyperventilating in here. We're thinking that's it. Do they move on? Just your overall thoughts, his style, how he communicates with whether it's the media, the players. Just what do you think so far?
Yeah, I mean, he's been good with us, and again, aside from that first homestand, there haven't been too many opportunities for him to, I think, feel too much heat. Maybe a game so here or there. The Kyle Hart and, when he left him in for, maybe one too many innings. But with the way that they've played lately, I think that certainly takes the pressure off. So we'll see, as the season goes on, if they go through an extended slump. But I do think everything you hear is he's very, very steady. And I think we've seen that to this degree, not too high, not too low. And I think that's one of the traits of his that they value. But I like the creativity a lot. And it is, a bit of whiplash from a manager last year who stuck to his guns to the degree that it, maybe cost them a playoff series. And Craig Stammen is obviously willing to try new things. We talked about Tatis. We talked about the lineup. And I think his effort to pace this season, give guys a day off. Like, it seems like there were some lessons learned that he has brought into this year. And so, no, I've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed our interactions today. We asked him about his golf game. Like, he's a bit of an open book, and I think he's willing to kind of, address whatever you want to throw at him. We'll see if we get to a point where the heat is on a little bit more, but at this point, I think he's done well, and he's made it interesting, and they're winning games. And so you can't complain about anything we've seen, certainly in the last week or so.
Yeah, good insight and perspective from Darnay Tripp. You can catch him on NBC7, including with Sports Night in San Diego every Sunday on NBC here locally. Darnay, appreciate you doing it, my friend, and we'll do it again soon.
Get a text from you in another couple months or so, John?
I was thinking maybe tomorrow, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, deal. I'll talk to you then.
All right. Darnay Tripp. We'll react on the other side here until 6 p.m. By the way, we've got an update to a playing game that's underway right now that we need to share. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. We've been telling you about them. The hotel and spa at Jamul you'll love. Experience elevated luxury with a refined hotel stay, rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments. All the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. You can take your stay to the next level with exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. You'll love the dining options like Tony Gwynn's Endless Dining. You can enjoy San Diego's favorite endless dining experience Wednesday through Sunday at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub. In addition, make sure to check out Jamul 23. They have lobster buffet every day. Enjoy all you can eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10:30, featuring made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, here on San Diego Sports 760. Kevin Acey, by the way, with us again tomorrow, right here on Schaefer and Sliwa. So
he's going to have it all.
He's going to have the whole enchilada for us.
But the playing stuff too.
Oh, the play-in, absolutely. Here's the update. I'm glad you mentioned it. So the play-in tournament is underway. Obviously, everyone's eye is on it because it's Hornets and Heat.
And it's on Amazon. So
and
everybody instantly.
Even more people are watching.
Instantly went there.
But I now wonder, tell me if this is too hot of a take. With the Hornets up 32-30 in the second quarter, do you see the Hornets losing a playoff game this year?
So they're up 32-30 in the second quarter. So game's probably wrapped then.
That's over. Has any team come back from something like that?
Wonder how many people say at 32-30, like,
yeah, I've seen
get in
enough.
the car.
I've seen enough.
How are you with sporting events like that? Because I'm
never getting in the car.
Oh, brother, this is why you and I get along so well.
Because I think anything can happen.
Do you know how much? Wait, what do you mean?
Like, I'm not getting in the car in like a 93-81 basketball game with 8 minutes left because I'm like, I've seen 12-point leads be blown.
Oh, so no, then we're not on the same page.
So you're doing it because you want to experience it.
No, I'm leaving. What I'm saying is, if you're at a sporting event, if we're at a sporting event, you and I are at a sporting event.
Padres, Mariners tonight.
Okay. Padres, Mariners, and maybe I'm more apt to stay to a Padres game, but I may. Why don't we get out of here before everybody else gets out of here, kind of guy?
No, we're staying.
So you're doing the full 9. Now you got to stay. Here's the problem with the Padres right now. If you got a 3-run lead, you don't want to see Mason Miller come out. I want to see Mason Miller come out.
And it's just like, well, we're there. Like we've already. It's like
down 5-2 in the 8th. Are you staying?
Yeah, because it's like I don't go to a game every day. So I'm like, this is an experience for me. Where do I have to get to?
Yeah.
That's what always amazes me about the old conversation about baseball. People are like, games are too long. I'm like, for who? You could just leave or turn off the TV. It's too long because of what? Now, I like the way they're played now. I like the quicker games, but I never bought the whole, well, the game takes 3.5 hours to play. Well, you can leave in the 7th inning if you want.
So 5-2, you're not taking off in the 7th inning.
Where do I got to go?
Yeah,
5-2. I've seen 5-2.
Yeah.
If it's 9-1.
No, that by the way, I feel like I'm more apt to stay to a 9-1 game
than 5-2
because I feel like I've already left, so I don't need to leave now.
I've reached the point
now I don't have to worry about leaving.
True, that's a good point. But I've reached the point now where the games move too quickly.
Do you know that? No, they don't move too quickly.
Some of these baseball games are 2:13. I'm like, that's too quick.
So what do you want? What's the sweet spot?
I think 2:45.
Like. No, you're on the high end there. 2:45 is a lot.
When I was a kid, here's how I looked at it.
Pitchers would have like 38 seconds in between pitches. Like, what are we doing?
When I was a kid, I wanted 3-hour games because that meant 20 minutes per inning. Because 20 times 3 is 1 hour. 3 times 3 is 9 innings. I hated when the game was going quick. Like that first inning was 11 minutes.
I think for someone like me, I'm much more apt to watch a 9-inning game because of the pace is so much better.
Right. There's a lot of people.
Can I tell you, I'm known for probably leaving one of the best NFL regular season games in history.
What do you mean you're known? Like if you walked down the street and someone like, you left that Chargers game.
No, here's why I would be known for
What game did you leave early?
So before SoFi was built, the game was at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
It was a Monday night Rams-Chiefs game.
That crazy game, or was it Rams-Bills?
No, it was Rams-Chiefs. The crazy game that you're talking about.
47?
Something like that. Yeah. I think it might have even been a little higher.
Yeah.
Third quarter ended. Listen, comfortably too. Fourth quarter started. I'm looking around. I'm like,
it'd be a good time.
We should get out of here. Walked right out of that game. Listened to it on the radio, and I have zero regrets.
It was 35 all. You're like,
I know.
It's 7:50
Brother, it was Mahomes,
Pacific.
And I mean, it was.
I'd like to be home by 9.
It's a big time game. Monday Night Football.
What was your motivation for living? You didn't want to sit in traffic.
I can't do it. I just can't.
You lived in Los Angeles for how long? Now you're a native San Diego, but you worked in Los Angeles for how long?
For the entire time I was in LA, I worked at the same company. So I worked for ESPN in Los Angeles. I worked there for 15 years.
Therefore, you know what traffic is, right? You experienced it. Did you ever have to be slowed on a road, or was it always smooth sailing?
Yeah, but I'm very strategic. I mean, I was driving down to San Diego twice a month for 15 years. I mean, I was down here all the time. And I was only leaving at the times that I'm
you
like
were supposed to.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, oh, Friday at 4:30 p.m. seems like a good time to. You
Probably
wouldn't
not
do
doing
the
that.
worst possible.
No,
time.
I literally would. I would leave sporting events, good sporting events, where I'm like, yeah, this is probably it. Or I would stay, or I would just stay like a lot longer and just say, yeah, I'm just not
that's
going to
my
leave.
theory. That's what I like about Aztecs because I do Aztecs post game.
That's right. By the time you're done,
people are rolling out with 2-3 minutes. I'm like, where are we going? They only play 15 times at home, roughly. Like it's a 6-point game. You stuck around for an hour and 55 minutes to leave now?
Listen to me for a quick second, okay? Do you know where they're going?
To the car.
To listen to your ass on the radio.
In fact, there's nothing I get more feedback on in my entire career than San Diego
Aztec
State
postgame?
basketball postgame.
Okay.
Has nothing that.
But I love what you're saying. Where are you guys going? You know where they're going? They're going to go
listen.
sit in their car on 760 and listen to you for their drive home.
But what I like about it is then I do the 45-minute postgame, and then I leave and there's no traffic. Because in that 45 minutes,
I'll be one or the other.
I got to pack up the equipment. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. When I used to do the Laker postgame show.
Yeah.
By
Right,
the
but you're
time I left,
everyone's gone.
I'm out. I'm good to go. I got no issues with traffic. But as a fan, that's a decision I got to make there.
Well,
it's a big decision.
Look at it like this: if you're at Hornets tonight, this unbelievable matchup between two
What's
of
the
the
score
top
right
10
now?
teams.
You know, the disrespect you have for the play-in, it's churning on me now. Like in the beginning, I thought, hey, this is kind of fun. Now
these teams aren't bad. Hornets are 44-38, for example.
Yeah.
And the Heat are 43-39. This game's tied at 39. This is a serious point. If you go to this game tonight in Charlotte, they went 19-63 last year. You should be required to stay.
It's a big game in Charlotte.
Don't you think you got to stick around for this thing?
You do have to stick around. But if there's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter and they're down 18, I'm out.
18? I've seen crazier than Yeah, probably true.
I'm out.
All right, let's get back to Padres and Mariners. I don't even know if we've gone through the lineup for tonight. Again, Nick Pavetta's out. He's on the 15-day IL. What comes next for Pavetta, who makes his next start? That and more. Head on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Padres and Mariners are getting set to start their series down at Petco Park tonight. It's going to be Brian Wu going for Seattle and Michael King on the hill for San Diego. First pitch is set for 6:40. Tonight is the beginning of the play-in games for the NBA. Right now, the Heat and the Hornets with about 5.5 minutes to go in the first half. Miami is up 41-39. Coming up at 7:30 tonight, Portland is going to take on Phoenix. All the play-in games this year are streaming on Amazon Prime. Choosing the right home service company isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about trusting who's in your home. That's why homeowners count on Anderson for friendly professional service that keeps everything running right. Visit AndersonPHA.com.
San Diego Sports 760, Schaefer and Slee. We're here until 6 p.m. We do want to congratulate our winners and iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. There is still time to donate to a classroom project, and your donation will be matched by Donors Choose. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. So we get game one of Padres Mariners tonight down at Petco Park. And again, the pitching matchup, we haven't really talked about the game because there's been so much that's happened off field.
Game.
You got Michael King, obviously has been as important as any Padres starter by and large the last 3 years. And then Brian Wu, who's terrific for Seattle.
He was really good against the Padres last year too.
He's been awesome. His career numbers are really good. What I found interesting is that 7 of the batters in the lineup for the Mariners tonight will bat from the left side against Michael King. So just kind of loading up against King. And this is it'll be interesting to see now, dealing with kind of the adversity of the Nick Pivetta news. Again, he wasn't going to pitch tonight, but dealing with the news.
But
of
it's
Nick
a gut
Pivetta,
punch.
and
I'm
coming
with
off
you.
an off day.
Yeah.
Can they keep this momentum going? Right.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of it, we had a conversation. If you missed any of the conversation, by the way, we also are on YouTube. You can go back on YouTube. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat. But Aaron Goldsmith, who is the voice of the Mariners, I thought he had a good point. You know, the Mariners are coming off a sweep of the Houston Astros. I don't care.
Yep.
4 games. There you go. I don't care whether the Astros are beat up. They're not the same friend. Winning 4 times. I mean, the Padres beating the Rockies, and we can make a big deal if they were 6-6, and maybe this Rockies team's a little different. I don't care how bad you are, but winning 4 in a row against one team is not easy.
I agree.
So I think the fact that we're walking into this game, I think it's a great test for both squads, it sounds like. At least I'm not watching Mariners every single day, but that's something Aaron Goldsmith mentioned, that for Seattle, this is kind of all right, let's see what you are. You took out Houston. If you're the Padres, really, if you kind of look at some of their wins, whether it's the Red Sox series, whether it's a series against Pittsburgh, which was impressive to get those 2 out of 3. Detroit hasn't been nearly as good as they were earlier in the season when they started out winning 2 or 3 against the Padres. And then you had the Rockies. Good test for both of these teams. I think the Padres, you're continuing to try to build momentum. Seattle's a real opponent. That's a team that
fancies itself to be one of the best in the American League.
And I'm sure they're looking at the Padres and saying, hey, look, this is another playoff team. So it's a good test for both of these squads.
I liked, we talked to Aaron about this idea that sometimes people think in sports, there are rungs to a ladder you must climb to win a championship. This idea that, well, the Padres made the NLCS in 2022. So surely they fall out of bed in the NLCS in 2023. Not so fast.
Hell no.
Because, Hunter dynamic, the shoe on the other foot, everything to expectations.
2023 is a perfect example. You keep going back to 2023. That is literally the perfect example.
It's one of the best in baseball history. I mean, the Padres had one of the more disappointing seasons in baseball history. I'm not saying it's the most, but it was very disappointing. One of the most, certainly, in the history of the franchise. So I'm telling you, Mariners fans feel the same today or heading into the year to the way the Padres fans felt heading into 2023. I don't know how the Mariners season is going to end up. They could win a World Series or get to one, or they could fall flat on their face. That's my point. It just changes. When you make a run, though, it's like what we talked about, maybe it was off air. When teams come into Viejas Arena to play a San Diego State team that's been consistently good and played for a national championship, you're not just getting their run of the mill. Like once the Mariners are in a championship series, now the opponent's on their schedule. Like, hey, listen, this isn't the same Mariners team. We got to bring it. That's my general point. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that over the course of the year, is what I would say.
I don't think the Pavetta thing is nothing either, from what you said of is there a little bit, if you had a great vibe after winning 9 of 11, does the vibe change a little bit? I would understand if it did. This is somebody that is such an important part of your rotation. The more I think about it, and I know we had this conversation a little bit earlier, for those who are just tuning in, we'll go back to it. There was a report out there that the Cubs and the Padres potentially pursuing free agent Lucas Giolito. As we sit here today, and I don't know what's going to happen in that situation, but damn, would that not say something if you and I come to work tomorrow and it's like, they got him. They got Lucas Giolito. They went out there and they did what they needed to do to make it happen. I think if no matter what, you were going to look at this team and you were going to say, I don't think they truly have enough as is to compete for a World Series. I'm talking about, the roster is going to have to be better, and whether you do that today or you do that by the trade deadline. But would that would be just an incredible statement if they could try to get him. I don't know what they're going to do, but don't you feel like it would send a little bit of a message across the board of like, yeah, we're here for a reason. This is not just another one of these years that we're trying to waste. We do understand that every year that goes by, our window might get further and further closed. That report encouraged me. It also, the report did two things. It encouraged me that they go out there and get a legit pitcher, and it also discouraged me because it made me feel Pavetta's got a bigger injury.
I don't have all the examples, but we had a writer on the station when the Padres announced that they were for sale that broke the news. I think it's Sportico, actually. And he made the point, this was the basic point, that teams for sale, by and large, don't win at the highest level. It doesn't mean they're going 50 and 110, all these teams, but there's a number of examples that teams going through a sale process aren't 2 feet in completely, 1 foot in, 1.5 feet in. I would really credit John Seiler and his ownership group if, without having a completed sale, he's willing to at least open a checkbook. I don't even know what that looks like in terms of, I just wrote a $20 million check for Giolito for the rest of the year. I know I'm selling this franchise, so someone else is on the hook for it. But I would guess it does involve some of literally his dollars to do something like that in the short term. I don't know if they're willing to do it. And Dennis wrote about that today with Ken Rosenthal, the dynamics that play with the Padres ownership situation.
Is one of their main points.
We're not talking a $400 million deal. No. So I do think that it's certainly appropriate to talk about it. But there's also, I think, again, if I had the writer from Sportico that was with me 6 or 7 months ago, he would also lead you down a path of, there's reasons for ownership groups not to do that at this time. You're stabilizing books. You're closing a sale process. You're much more reasonable with your spend because you're just packaging something for someone else. So again, if they do it, I credit maybe the new ownership group because maybe they've got the call about it. And I think I would credit the current ownership group if they're able to do something like that.
I'll try to give an analogy. I don't know if it's the best, but we'll work on it. I think it's very common in any business that you're selling.
Yeah.
That you want the numbers to look good.
Yeah.
And that is part of your sale. So if hypothetically, it's like if I'm going to sell a home, I may upgrade all these things because I want, for the naked eye, I want it to look good. I want to show that the value is going up in the home because look at these
kitchens and baths.
But they're typically picking and choosing things that they think will bring the value of the home up.
Yep.
They're not building this jacuzzi on a deck that means nothing, right?
There's no value there.
It has no value there. That part makes sense of why, new ownership and current ownership does not want to bring in a new pitcher. But listen, you gotta, there's a little bit of, I think what you just mentioned is most important. You're not signing somebody to $200 million.
No.
Your bad contracts are already there.
Yeah.
They really are. And they're not going anywhere for years. Is $20 million going to be the difference? I don't think it is. And again, maybe if Nick Pivetta was healthy, maybe we're not having this conversation today. This is something that could be kick the can down the road. But in the NL, you just lost your ace for we don't know how long. If there's reports out there that you might be interested in a pitcher that can come in, damn, what a boost that would be if the Padres decided that's the guy that we're targeting and we're going to go get him.
Yeah, I do this a lot, and I don't know if it's fair or unfair. I do the prism of like, well, you're going to have to beat the Dodgers. And it's always too simplified and always I mean, it's way too early also to be like, well, you're going to have to beat the Dodgers. I mean, it's literally April 14th.
But you also may not have to.
It's possible. Correct. Yeah. It is possible. You are 100% right. I've made that point.
Which is why we're trying to get out of the NL West.
Right, exactly.
Just want to go to the American League.
But
that's all I'm talking about.
In the measuring stick cliche, if you're measuring against these other clubs around baseball, are you measuring up, so to speak? Like you have to ask yourself.
But can you, if you're the Padres, and I would say 90% of the rest of the league, I don't think you could try to build something to beat them specifically.
No, you can't. You're 100% right. And we've talked about the dynamics of baseball. Great teams in baseball only beat good teams in baseball at X%, or great teams in basketball beat good teams in basketball at an exponentially higher percentage. The data would support that. Same thing in football historically. So it's a different dynamic. And you're right. If you're just keeping up with the Joneses, it's hard to do. I mean, so they have to do it a different way. But if you would have told me, I'll go back to the point I made 2 hours ago. If you would have told me that Pavetta was going to miss any significant time this year, I would have told you the Padres are in trouble. Have I already changed my tune because they're 10-6, or are they in trouble without Nick Pivetta? That's the question.
Well, we haven't seen them yet without Pavetta.
Right. But we're about to.
We're about to.
And the pitching is different because it's a slow leak. They don't play every day, the pitchers. You only see the impact over time. To use your house analogy, I got a leak. I don't recognize the damage for weeks potentially. It's a slow drip, and all of a sudden now my floors are ruined. But you don't know that right away. That's something to consider as well. Like, is it going down? Is this a slow drip right now? And you need to address it sooner rather than later. It's hard for anyone to really answer.
I think we'll go back to what I think the theme of all this is. The only positive I could come up with is that this is in April. Right. Let's just say this. We're going to find out about the magnitude of Pavetta's injury. We're going to find out in the next 2 weeks.
Of course.
And that's me like saying that's we're going to find out before then.
Sooner, yeah.
But my point is that by the time they get to May 1st, they will kind of have a better understanding of how to approach this moving forward. Maybe by May 1st, there's also a little bit more information on Musgrove. I mean, there's still a lot with the Padres to be figured out. Like I said, the fact that they were already linked to this name at one point, and I just go back to it. If you could try to figure out a way, if Lucas Giolito, if there's some interest between the Padres and the Cubs in trying to get Lucas Giolito, I think they would need a player like this anyways, even if Nick Pivetta was healthy.
Yeah.
Maybe this gives you a little bit more incentive to go try to get him.
I like that. We'll continue the conversation on the other side, plus the update from Charlotte with the Hornets and Heat underway.
Stay here.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to go anywhere. Stay in your
9,
driveway.
10, Charlotte, Miami.
Don't get out of your car.
Stay here.
Stay where you are. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports
Pull
760.
over.
All right, San Diego Sports 760.
It's a great story. That's a great
Isn't that
story.
great? Was that the best part of the day?
Let's save, and I like what you said about like saving some of just our best stories when we're not live on anything.
No, you were asking me. I mean, we could talk. We were talking about housing, right? Or where? Yeah. I was talking about the wrap-up show on YouTube.
Where you do it? Yeah,
I'm in my kitchen.
That's a thing for everybody, for everyone to understand. If you do any YouTube content,
you gotta have like space.
You need a space for it.
Well, you have like a studio space.
I have a studio space, but there's a lot of times I don't use it. Like, and I just say that because it's not convenient. I'm still figuring out kind of remember I was in LA for as long as I was, so I'm still figuring it out. But anyways, long story short, yeah, a lot of people try to set up shop at home during COVID.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing radio shows, full radio shows. You're doing it at home.
I know.
Like you hear some, what's that in the background? Oh, somebody's doing the dishes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Oh, someone rang. Oh, hold on. My Amazon package is here. I don't even, dude, thinking back to COVID, I know you probably wanted to go somewhere else here, but on some of it, I've like blacked out. The like whole experience during COVID of being like a working professional.
What were you on air at that time?
I was 3 to 6 with Steve Hartman and Rich Orenberger. I'm honestly, dude, and I'll say I'm shocked that I didn't lose my job. Because, I mean, it was a credit really to, iHeart San Diego.
Sure,
specifically
still keeping a lot of, yeah.
Because they didn't need, in fact, listen to this, dude, for no joke, for 90 straight days, Brent will remember this, for 90 straight shows probably, only 2 of the 3 of us were on air. We'd rotate hosts because they didn't want 3 people in this room. More like corporate company policy.
We got kicked out. We couldn't do the everything had to go from home.
Right.
So we weren't even in a studio.
But anyway, I missed like every other show I was like off for like 3 months.
So the reason why I was asking what time were you on when the NBA game was going on and they were canceling?
Oh yeah, we were on the air.
Was that the Go Bear game? Yeah, that's the Utah Jazz.
Were you on the air?
We were on the air.
Yeah, it was
same thing on the air, and it's like then all of a sudden it's like let's bring on this person from CNN. What are you doing? Why are you doing that?
It's just such a different time. I don't even know how to describe it.
No, there's no other way to describe it. Okay, so we're talking
playing related for me.
Well, yeah, because you said we're coming back, and you had an update on Charlotte and
oh yeah, we need to update people.
Miami
halftime.
Yeah, Heat are up 2.
Yeah,
right. Okay,
over the Hornets.
So, do you remember this story? That I don't know how you'll view this. If I say Patrick Beverley playing tournament, does that ring a bell for anything?
Is it when he like went crazy, like they won a title? Am I right? That's what it reminds me of. Am I right?
They had a playing tournament game.
Yeah.
Okay. Against the Clippers. Minnesota Clippers back in 2022.
Yeah.
And they locked up the number 7 seed.
Right.
And he jumped on the scorer's table and was like emotional. Listen, I guess part of the story was emotional because he was part of the Clippers when Kawhi signed and Paul George signed and all these players came.
Right.
Patrick Beverley was out. And
still odd.
It just is funny to me as much as we talk about the playing tournament. And this guy was very emotional, had a very emotional moment around the playing tournament.
It's funny you mentioned that because now I'm trying to think of other moments in sports where the reaction doesn't fit. Like
where it's ridiculous.
Moment. Yeah, like where something occurs and you're like, you shouldn't have reacted in that manner.
But it depends.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I get it. And I know, sometimes people say, act like you've been there before.
Right.
Is it fair to say that there's plenty of franchises that haven't been there before fan bases that haven't seen, or it's been 25 years since you, I don't know, won a division or something along those lines? Do you fault anything of the Mariners last year for their emotion? And
no,
I don't either.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. It's just this play-in thing to me, as we've played out over the last week or two, it's just still wonky. Like it doesn't seem legitimate.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah, I look at it through the lens of like, what are we doing?
Making money.
Yeah, which everyone understands.
That's it.
Like at least with the NFL, they're like, hey, we're going to go to 17 games. And they're like, yeah, obviously it's money. But it's the NFL. You're not selling anyone. And like, we get an extra game of Joe Burrow against Patrick Mahomes. People are on board with that.
Mm-hmm.
The extra game of Heat Hornets is a different sell. Now, you're seeing different franchises. Because I don't see who sees the Hornets.
But I think it also has to do with, I do think baseball's got the best structure right now. But I do think there's a part of this where they know this is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't care.
Right.
They know that the playing tournament or the in-season tournament, they know it's not for everybody. but it's just another creative way to generate some revenue. And here's the reality. What were they going to have this week? This is the argument they would make. So we don't have any games this week.
Why not play the playoffs?
Start the playoffs on a Wednesday or a Thursday? Yeah.
I mean, they used to start the playoffs after the regular season. I mean, I don't know the exact timing. It does feel to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, the actual tournament of 16 teams has been sped up with fewer off days. I remember a day 10, 12 years ago. It would be like Lakers, Spurs, game 1 Sunday, game 2 Wednesday, game 3 Sunday. I'm like, what is this?
Well, you have that issue too, because they're already setting the NBA Finals date is set. They're not changing that.
June 8th.
So they can be out. You can have the Eastern and the Western Conference Finals be done in 5 games each.
Got 8 days off.
You're going to wait 8-9 days.
Yeah.
So that's part of it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
June 3rd this year.
June 3rd is when. That's actually, it feels a little early to me that the NBA Finals will start. I don't know if
they'll
it is or
go.
not.
That gives them 3 weeks. So yeah, they'll probably play the finals in 2 weeks, and then they'll get into the draft.
I will say that I'm looking forward to the NBA postseason, but I don't know if I'm including tonight in my enthusiasm. Based on what I'm saying, apparently I'm not. Am I going to go home right now? And be like,
there's nothing you're saying that's wrong.
Yeah, that's just how I feel.
But it's true. I'll go back to this. Let's say you're a big baseball fan.
I am.
All right, we got a game tonight. Padres and the Mariners. It's a good game.
It is.
Will that interrupt the play-in?
No.
And I think
I could do both.
I think the idea is it's not going to take away. The NBA has said to themselves, as long as we're not going up against the NFL.
Yeah, you're right.
And the NFL has said, well, we'll just start getting you. What'd you have Christmas before? We're going to take Christmas. That's ours.
No, you make a good point. Where
the NFL is
NBA,
a mob. They are just a mafia that's running sports.
If we live long enough, we'll probably see the NFL playing this week too. Like they'll be playing in May. Oh, we've got the NFL games, our in-season tournament or our out-of-season tournament. But no, this is the time of year people are going to turn their attention, obviously, to the NBA. I just do wonder if it starts this week. Is this like the Dayton games in the NCAA tournament? To me,
this is exactly what it is.
It's funny because I appreciate the Dayton because I feel like those teams, like if I went 22-10, like I earn my way in. These teams are 37-45.
That's Golden State. That's why I'm going to stick, and just like you want to stick on the playing tournament, I'm going to stick on if you're not above 500, you're not in the playing tournament.
Yeah, the game tonight would just be like, sorry.
No, it would just
be
say
on television.
You would have 8 and 9 play each other. 7's in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's do this again tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Kevin AC, our Padres insider, back with us tomorrow. We're on the air from 3 to 6, recapping tonight between the Padres and the Mariners and much, much more for you. If you missed anything today, go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. For Brent and Alan, I'm John. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace.